Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. It is our 5-year anniversary. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and you're frozen, but not anymore.
Okay, I don't think I was frozen. I think maybe you were frozen.
I guess that's possible, but good to see you, partner. Yeah, it's 5 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Where'd the time go?
So I started looking through a bunch of pictures. I'm thinking, I'm going to put together like a photo montage of all of our time together over 7 years. But what people don't realize is that Peter is always the one taking pictures of me. So there's very, very few pictures of you and me together. Like there's a few, but it's few and far between. Like, honestly, I think I've got like 4 pictures of us together because you're always the one with the camera.
Well, there was a good picture that was taken of us in the early stages of when we were running the podcast, where I was in the purple shirt, you were in the white and purple shirt.
Oh,
it was like an angle shot. I think Anthony took it, if I remember correctly. So that was a good memory.
That was our avatar for a while, that picture.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, far and few between. But you said you have something?
No, I didn't. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I didn't have anything new to add. And yeah, no, I don't. But we have surprises later.
Oh, okay. Well,
we have surprises later. Well, I mean, yeah. So
some make surprises, some don't. So it all depends on the person, really.
Yeah. So can you believe it's been 5 years?
I can. I think there's many reasons why we got together and how we ended up working together. But I think it's pretty obvious that there is a universal theme, one that obviously has grown exponentially over the last 2 years. But, you and I obviously started working together because of a very detestable public servant. I shouldn't even use that word to refer to this person because they're a rather loathsome individual, to say the least. But what I will say is that, Wasserman Schultz is why you and I connected, first connected through Tim Canova, and then we reconnected again. And obviously we've gone through this journey over the past several years, but now it's taken on a whole other life. And I think an interesting place to open this, because we do have a big announcement to make towards the end of the show tonight. And you guys are definitely going to want to stick around for this. This is not LeBron James selling Hennessy type of big announcement. This is a real announcement, something that's actually of value. So we want you guys to stick around for the evening, and we hope you will enjoy it. And with that said, when Jen decided to run against Wasserman Schultz last year, it's been over 18 months, but there was this theory that I have to do this and I know it's going to fail, but I still have to do it. And there was a very prophetic statement that you made in one of these ads that was done. And I thought it would be very appropriate to open the show this evening with this, because I think it really ties into how we got here.
I see this as it's the same thing as the people that were fighting for segregation, the same thing as the people that were fighting against women's right to vote, because they really are on the wrong side of history. And what they're doing with these college students is only going to backfire on them. And it could not please me more. Debbie does not truly support free speech. She is the person that is at the forefront of criminalizing what the students on these campuses are fighting for by saying that it's anti-Semitism when she knows damn well that's not what it is, and that a ton of those students are Jewish. Her relationship with AIPAC to me appears to have her prioritizing the needs of the state of Israel over the needs of our constituents here. We don't have healthcare, we don't have housing, we don't have education. Things that Israelis do get. They have healthcare, they get free education. So, Debbie makes sure that Israel is very well taken care of.
That's a huge part of all of this that I think is why the America First movement in particular is becoming extremely active in severing this relationship with this unholy genocidal state. It is true. The genocidal fake state of Israel has universal health care, universal education, living wage, paid sick leave, everything. They have all of it. And because of this, well...
You can also get free housing. If you're Jewish and you want to move there and make Aliyah, which is getting Israeli citizenship, you can have a free place to live. Granted, it's somebody else's house that was stolen, but they're happy to give it to you.
Well, listen, if I don't steal it, somebody else will. Right. So it might as well be me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Debbie has taken a lot of money, I think close to $1 million from AIPAC. Debbie is one of their foot soldiers. AIPAC, you don't scare me, you're bullies, and you're eventually going to lose. Because history, the arc will bend towards justice, and that is what will happen. So they will run their course. It might not happen because of me, it might not happen this election cycle, but they will run their course, and people are going to start coming for them. People are waking up, people are understanding that they should be registered as foreign agents. They should enjoy their limited time of power that they're having right now, because they will not have it forever. That's what I think. So prophetic.
Well, you tend to be very Nostradamus on a lot of your predictions about these things.
Well, these are, to me, this is common sense. It's common sense based on empirical evidence and history. It's not rocket science. So are you going to let it finish, or do I have to stare at myself?
No. This is the end. If you want me to remove it, I will. And the reason
it's not the end, but I don't know what else is there. But
well, it's just a highlight. If you want to, okay. Well, for those
I don't care. I'm just
okay. Well, those who are not familiar, Jen did run for Congress.
Okay. Yeah. Yay, Congress. Okay.
So I bring that up because this was something that was brought to our attention. You see, the great thing about the whole run is that we've made some really amazing relationships. We've made some amazing connections, not just through the podcast, but also running. And we still, stay in communication with a lot of our volunteers, a lot of our paid staff. We, with rare exception, there is an exception. But pretty much everybody got along, everybody liked each other, and we've stayed together. And so I would never have known about this if it wasn't for one of our amazing supporters, Terry Falbo, who dropped this in one of our WhatsApp groups the other day.
Wasserman Schultz, I'd like to ask you. I'd like to ask you.
Start again. I don't know why it does.
Wait, do you not want to give the background?
Schultz? Okay. I'd like.
All right. Well, we'll give the background afterwards, but you got to love that look right on her face. Oh, did you mean me? Oh. Yes, you.
To ask you, I'd like to ask you to revise.
Mitzler, get in her face.
Let it play. Okay, let it play. If you stop it every second, it really makes it hard to follow.
Okay, boss.
I'd like to ask you to revise your comments on the Gaza genocide. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I'd like to get you to revise your comments on the Gaza genocide. How much money are you receiving from the Israel lobby? I know I'm going to be fired. I'm fine. I want. This is gonna get. She's supporting the genocide in Gaza. She's one of the biggest supporters of the genocide in Gaza.
Joe.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, how much money do you get from AIPAC? Do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night?
So, for people who are not familiar with South Florida, that is a very old, known, huge, cool bookstore that is just like a known thing. And the older gentleman is the owner of the bookstore. And I don't know if people could hear it, but the person taking the video was an employee. And he said, I know I'm going to get fired. That's what he said. He said, I know I'm going to get fired, but I have to ask. So she actually, and she doesn't go out often. Debbie doesn't show her face very often, except in very safe spaces. And obviously she knows the owner of the bookstore because it's been there forever. And so that was a comfortable place. And lo and behold, an employee at that bookstore, this was just the other day, confronted her and just was curious about how she can sleep at night when she is such an AIPAC whore. I would suggest she sleeps very soundly. She probably dreams of, dead Palestinian children and, probably warms her disgusting self. I don't know. She's a lizard person. That's all I can say.
Yeah, she is a lizard person. What I can also tell you is that she's got a lot of people under her thumb. and it's not just the Israel power brokering. There's a lot of things that she's done. But if there's one thing you and I can definitely agree on, is that she is in charge of the Florida Democratic Party, probably still. And if that's not enough, she has completely buried the party statewide. Like, she is as responsible for the destruction of the Democratic Party in the state of Florida as anybody. Period.
Yeah.
And that is, you see, I'm not sure which Debbie trolls are showing up in the chat now. I'm just not sure.
No, that's our original Debbie troll. That's our regular Debbie troll.
Yeah. So Debbie had a lot of advantages. There is no such thing as a fair fight if you're going to run against somebody like that. And this is why we've been constantly telling people that if you think you're going to get anywhere fighting in the Democratic Party, it's just not going to happen. Because there's always going to be these guardrails that are going to pop up. And that's why when we talk about revolution, we're talking about a lot of these institutional disadvantages that exist. And the fact that we are listening to a party speak of democracy and fair elections. And I'm thinking, we put in a substantial amount of our blood, sweat, and tears for Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 2016. And lo and behold, we saw the most obvious example of a rigged election that you'll ever see. And there's never been any repercussions for anybody that's been involved in that process, especially Debbie. So the fact that one person, one simple person out in public decided to go up to her. And let me tell you, I know who that lady is who jumped in front of Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
This is a party hat, if you will. Nice lady. I've met her several times, but she's team blue all the way. And even though we have bad blue people, it's still blue team. It's blue team all the way. And that's how they justify it. They're just stuck in their own echo chamber and they can't get out of their own way, and they never will. And so that's one person, probably a very simple, decent person, not aggressive. How do you?
I don't agree. I don't agree. I think that you are who you affiliate with, and I think anybody who affiliates.
No, I'm not talking about her. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the person who confronted Debbie. I'm saying that this was probably
the guy who worked at the store.
Nice guy, no, but imagine how Debbie would react if a dozen people came up to her and said, "You're a genocidal maniac and you should be in The Hague."
Well, that's why she doesn't go out. I mean, and for people who don't know, like, Debbie doesn't do town halls. She doesn't hold public court in any way, shape, or form, unless it is pre-planned, attendance is restricted or paid. She comes in right before she talks. She leaves right after she talks. She does not mingle. And she will not go anywhere that isn't been totally vetted. And the couple of times when she was campaigning that she did that, she regretted it. Yeah. Because she can't show her face without angry people asking her questions. And that was before the genocide. Like, that was before. This is just icing on the cake for people who want to call her out. There's no shortage of reasons to call out a corporate whore.
Now, for the people who may not know and who are just getting themselves acclimated to our shtick and what we've done, and obviously what Wasserman Schultz has done on the national level, let me assure you that her behavior at the local level is so much worse. The type of threats that she employs, the way that she goes after people, especially vulnerable people in communities of color in particular, the way that she threatens them. A blackmail is always on. I was going to
say, she blackmails people here and threatens them. She bullies her way around this whole, I would say, the Tri-County area.
And this is only what, listen, we know about, I can tell you right now, I do not, listen, I get along with the gentleman. He's an elected official in the Tampa Bay area. He is a total Zio. He's a total egocentrist in every sense of the word. But this is a guy who would do anything in the world to get Wasserman Schultz out of power.
Including supporting leftist progressive when he is such a milquetoast liberal. But because how much this person could not stand her, he was supportive of me. But are you going to say what she said to him?
So this was a situation where he was trying to push forward, I think, some type of an initiative when the state party got together. And everyone knows
it was a candidate. It was a candidate in the St. Pete region, which even though Debbie lives in South Florida and represents this district, she still feels the need to stick her nose and her opinion everywhere as far as who should be where. So she was not liking who this gentleman was supporting in his own district.
Correct. And as a result, he confronted her in person and he said, "Why are you getting involved with a race that has nothing to do with your constituency?" And she said, and I quote, "I am Debbie Wasserman Schultz and I always get what I want." And this is a person who at the time was the head of the DNC. So you can imagine that when a person in public is talking like that, you can imagine what she was doing to Bernie Sanders and the movement behind the scenes that you never got to see, because we only know what we know. What we know is that she rigged the primary for Hillary Clinton. What we don't know is the lengths to which she went to scare people, to threaten people, to intimidate people. She did it all.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason she can get away with this and has been able to get away with it is because of all the members of Congress that proudly stand with Milikowski Netanyahu.
No.
This is the person who gleefully stands next to him in every photo op opportunity from the day she went into Congress in 2004 to where she is today. You will never see her back off of her Zionist tendencies, because that's who she is. And she, in so many respects, is why electoral politics doesn't work.
And she is also the reason that you will probably never see another Democratic president in this country. Well, I mean, that and a lot of things, but she destroyed that party. She ran it into the ground.
Yep.
She spent as much money during a non-presidential election year as if it were. She bankrupted the DNC so that they had to be bailed out by the Clinton Foundation. And that is where we are.
And I will tell you all, because I know a lot of you have probably been noticing that they have been trying to rehabilitate Bill Clinton and his image because they're going to try to push this. I can tell you right now, you're seeing all of the cracks in the system. All of it's coming to a head. And again, I'm not going to reveal it, but I'm telling you, you guys are going to want to stick until the end of the show this evening because we have something very important to talk about. So that's where we're at. And
big announcement.
Yeah. So if you want to know how Jen and I ended up in this political marriage, you can thank Debbie Wasserman Schultz for that. That's how it happened. Now, can we ever get rid of her? I don't know. I think she's like the clap. I don't think she's ever going to go away. I think
she'll be gone as soon as the numbers are such that the district can be won by a Republican. And then that'll be the end. And then the whole state is just going to be red. Like, that's where it's going. And the only reason, quite honestly, that she's been able to sit there as long as she has, other than bullying and blackmail and all the stuff that she does, is because Florida is really kind of purplish red. It really is. And with the exception of maybe saying some nice things about the LGBTQ community, Debbie's always been a Republican. Oh. She supports Republican policies. Like, there's nothing about her that represents what we would think of as Labor Party. Not that the Dems are Labor Party, but, she fits right in. She just, and for a long time, our Tallahassee legislature, which she did serve there first, they would have her back because they felt better having her than they would with any other Democrat in this district, knowing it was a blue district. It was very easy to keep her there. They would gerrymander the district because they knew that basically she's a Republican. And again, as far as I'm concerned, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I couldn't care less. They all suck. But just in terms of how she's been protected in that seat, with both gerrymandering and bullying. And it's really, and we know things. We know things.
You have talked at length about how we had an opportunity with Bernie Sanders not to have a revolution, but to have a sort of FDR save capitalism type moment where if he had gotten in there and was able to pass in his first 100 days, especially if he had any type of a mandate, because Bernie would have beaten Trump in 2016. Everybody knows. And so had that happened, he probably would have, at the bare minimum, gotten the public option through. He would have at least gotten that through. He probably would have been able to push through some form of tuition-free public college and trade schools. He would have been able to set an economic populist agenda from the left that would have made a difference in this country. And because of the trajectory, this sort of Back to the Future 2 Biff horrific trajectory that we've been on as a result of Wasserman Schultz's reign of terror, and now we're dealing with a government shutdown that is strictly based on austerity, maybe protecting the Epstein files, but in reality, it's all about screwing the working class. So I want to show you guys this clip that I just grabbed from C-SPAN earlier today, and it's of Speaker Mike Johnson.
Online, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have two medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get to get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military is getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right.
Good for you. Good for her. Fuck this guy. He's just sitting there. He is not even listening. He doesn't give a shit. He don't give a shit.
Listen, I just want to say that I'm praying for you and your family. We really care deeply, and we're going to get something done for you. And for anybody, any shit lib that's in the chat, anyone who's going to see this is going to say you get what you vote for. Just remember, Hakeem Jeffries would be the one sitting there right now if it was the Democrat that was in power. So you're fucked either way. That's just how it goes. You're at a point now where revolutionary change is the only way you're not going to suffer. And be thankful that you can have a revolution where you might have a chance, because the people in Gaza, they have no chance. They're all going to die. And we're facilitating it.
Well, we also have a chance. You know why we also have a chance?
Why is that?
Because the woman who was just speaking, see, these are military families now. Again, and I've said it before, it isn't about pissing off the blue team. The blue team's useless. They're not going to do shit. Now you're pissing off the red team, and they're armed. You're pissing off veterans. You're pissing off military serving people. That is facilitating the revolution. That's what I think. And, you know, this woman is one of millions who are going to suffer and whose children are going to suffer because of pieces of shit like that guy.
Yeah, and again, he's just a cog in the equation. It's not like Mike Johnson, even though he does technically have the power. He is the Speaker of the House. But again, as I said, you have 2 choices here. You can go back to what you just had, which was Pelosi, or you can go forward with who they're desperately trying to get in there, which is Jeffries. You're going to have there will be no. I mean, yes, on the ancillary issues, yes, there will be some differences, but in the end, they're all serving the same corporate masters that are all Zion Nazis. I mean, have you not seen how Jeffries reacts when it comes to Israel? Israel today, Israel tomorrow, Israel forever. And Mike Johnson's a true believer. So this is why when you see somebody who is, again, from a military family and is completely broken up about all of this, it's not surprising. And,
no.
And that again is why we keep emphasizing that, yes, elections matter, especially locally. But if you put your eggs into that basket and think that that's what's going to make the difference here, it's just not. And before we bring in our guests, I think it would only be appropriate, because we're probably going to get a lot of this tonight. We want to keep it relevant to the topics being discussed. If you are so inclined, please go to patreon.com/revolutionary change. It's our 5-year anniversary. Why not? Do something sweet for us tonight. Give us a little present, even if it's only $5. But if you are so inclined, we would obviously love your support. It really does make a difference. Piano Man, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the $10. Thank you for getting us off to an amazing start. Pirate Justin, always a pleasure. Thank you for the $5. Happy Thursday. Happy Thirsty Thursday. Tongue twister right there. Where is more Zionist, Florida or Texas? There are more Jewish Zionists in Florida. There are more Christian Zionists in Texas.
Yep.
Arm with Harmony, 2025 Year of the Snake. Gift 1 Revolutionary Change membership.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stormborn Snuggler, thank you for the $5. Hi there. Peace be upon you. I was watching a small documentary, Severed by the Nation, and I can't believe no one, sorry, I am enraged. I believe does that mean you have
He just says can't believe anybody.
Yes. Yes. Well, I can believe no one. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Arlene, love you. Thank you so much for the $20.
Arlene.
Happy anniversary, Revolutionary Change. Jen and Peter are the best. Well, I don't know if we're the best, but we've certainly been on somewhat of a rocket ship type growth over the last 4 months. And as I like to point out to Jen, it was only because she left. And
it is. It's because I left. It's hard to not take that personally.
I'm just teasing. It's you brought the luck of the Irish. That's what you ended up doing.
It's because I was in Ireland and I was absorbing the Irish. It's true. It was.
Colin, Rachel, text Graham just in case. And if you need me to do it too, I will. Ronwell, it's been a little while, but we appreciate you. This is our resident super supporter, I think it'd be appropriate to call it, of Mr. Congressman Thomas Massie. Thank you so much. I remember you as Generational Change, like Ventura interview, so I'm one of the OGs. If you see my PFP, it has Jesse as third-party president, Cynthia McKinney as VP, Tyrell as chief of staff. Well, listen, whatever position Tyrell would be in, it would be one that would require a speaking role as far as I'm concerned. I think you would agree with that, Jen.
I did. I just got a text from Graham. He's coming. So wrap up super chats, because I have to do the intro to the first panel, to our first
as speaker. Yes, I think that is a reasonable expectation. Stormborn Snuggler with the $20 contribution.
Wow.
Documentary called Severed. An 18-year-old now boy and his mother left their homeland Gaza, buried their daughter and her daughter's baby among thousands of martyrs. This kid with one leg now travels to school with one leg. Yeah, as Jen says, we have to bear witness to this. That's our responsibility. Libertarian Social Democrat, thank you so much for the $4.99. Speaker Johnson gives me Frank Underwood vibes. Watch out, Orange Man and Garbage Pail Kid. Who's Garbage Pail Kid?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm missing that one. Throw that in the chat if you can. We'll pull that up. Hollaback, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member.
Look at that snout.
Oh, well, of course. Anybody who's got a poochie poo is always welcome.
Yeah, love the snout.
Ronwell, again with the $2. Happy 5th anniversary, Jen and Peter. We thank you so much. Tortuga, thank you for the $10 happy anniversary super chat. Morgan Mettenberg, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And not to be outdone, Josie Justice with the $20. Thank you. Happy anniversary. Thank you so much for everything. We thank you. And last but not least, Robert Pookie Ray with the $5 super sticker. We really do appreciate all of you. And obviously the night is just getting started. So of course, J.D. Vance is the guy. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, we know he's going to run. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of jokes to go around once that comes to fruition. But I just like calling him, Peter Thiel's bottom. So, I think he'd be satisfied with that nickname. And that is exactly what he should be remembered for. Sorry, I'm a crude son of a bitch. I can't help myself. But Vance is who Vance is. He is a bought and paid for stock photo of a representative, if you will. Jen, the floor is yours. You have some.
Okay. So we have set up a nice array of different people to be joining us for segments tonight. And we often get asked and have been asked in the past, like what our origin story is. So where Peter and I, where we met and how we got together. And so I thought that it would be really good to start this evening with basically the people that are, I'm not going to say the reason that we met. I mean, we really did meet at the end of a campaign, but then when
we reconnected in person.
Where we reconnected in person, and basically when we decided that we should go after Debbie Wasserman Schultz was at a comedy show down here in Miami. And I'm still waiting for our other person to jump on. Where is he? He just texted me he was coming.
Make sure he's got the right link, but let's not wait because we do have our good friend.
Right. No, we do. So we met at a comedy show down in Miami. It was the Improv, and it was, he doesn't see the email with the link. Rachel, can you email Graham again with the link? So we were seeing, we're going to bring them on. Go ahead. I mean, we could bring on our two comedian guests.
This is one of our true OGs, somebody that we knew from back in the Jimmy and Jordan days, but we have stuck together ever since. He's a funny guy. I mean that. You really are a funny guy. Ron Placone, welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
What's up, everybody? Congratulations. I'm happy to hold down the fort while Graham figures out the internet. We're all cheering for him. I think he's going to do it. I really do. Yeah, congratulations on your thing. I would have thought RFK was the Garbage Pail Kid, by the way, because he kind of looks like one.
But
I can see that.
Okay, you have to stop disparaging me. It is not fair. I've tried really hard to make a big difference in this country, Ron. You're not being fair.
Peter, I appreciate you, but if we're gonna do RFK impressions, I think I'm gonna win this one. There's a new study that shows that having a penis leads to autism.
That would explain a lot, actually.
And the only cure is swimming in a pile of fecal matter. But they're trying to suppress that because it would cut into the profits.
You know what the problem is with being so damn privileged? You never ever have one person tell you, Bobby, I don't think this is correct. I've
never had a consequence in my life for anything I've done because I'm part of one of the largest political dynasties in the world. So I've had a lot of time to just poison my brain and absorb a bunch of nonsense, and that's the only way I've been able to get attention. Yeah, and I love war.
Yeah. And what's even, well, again, that is an even bigger reflection of how we ended up here, Ron. And the fact is, we are governed by a bunch of Kennedys and Bushes and Clintons, dynastic people, or just simply rich and powerful and corrupt and out of touch people. That's predominantly who's governing us these days. And but I do get the sense there is this sort of great awakening that is happening right now. Do you get a sense of that in California?
Oh man, I really want to share your optimism, but once again, no, I'm just kidding. No, you know what? Where I kind of get my hope, you can call it an awakening or call it whatever you want, but it's like there is this mass mobilization of people that are quite literally fighting back. I mean, I live in the harbor area of Los Angeles. ICE is literally occupying our city. I mean, they're occupying our neighborhood. They're occupying the city of Los Angeles. Leadership is doing very little about it. But people are rising up. I mean, we do have neighborhood coalitions, and it made the national news even of people just, sending alerts via social media where ICE is at, and people, fighting back to the best extent that they can. So stuff like that is kind of encouraging to me when you hear about the general strike over in Italy. I know our fingers are all crossed that this ceasefire is going to be the one that sticks, but cautious optimism, I guess. But I mean, when you hear about things like it's probably not, Peter, but I mean, let's hope. But I mean, you kind of see stuff like in Milan, like some of the cops even stood with the protesters. You would never see anything like that in the United States. But the fact that you can see it anywhere in the world is something.
Yeah. For sure. So you knew that you were basically our origin story, right? Did
No,
you know
not
that you
really.
and Graham were our origin story?
I knew that you guys were at our show. I didn't know that that was when you started collaborating. I actually didn't. I don't even think I met you that night, Jen.
No.
I met Peter. Like, well, I knew Peter electronically, and then I met him in person at that show. But I don't even think I met you that night. That was a super fun night. I remember that. I think that was my favorite show on that run, which is saying a lot because it was like a really banger run. Although
Hold
my
that
favorite.
thought. Hold that
Hold
thought.
on. He's here.
Oh,
He's
he
here.
finally
Because
made
we're
it?
talking about the origin story. So bring Graham in.
Your
Because
comedian in crime and one of our favorites, Graham Ellwood. Welcome back, or actually for the first time, welcome to Revolution.
It'll be hilarious if he's muted.
So Graham, did you realize that you and Ron were like our origin story of how Peter and I got together as a professional, partnership?
No, I had no idea that Ron and I helped facilitate that. That's pretty cool. This is
Yeah.
when we came to Florida?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we decided to start working together, essentially. So we really, everybody has basically Ron Placone and Graham Ellwood to thank for everything that has happened, including 2 congressional runs and a YouTube channel.
What?
Cool.
We did all that?
Yes.
Well, I expect a Patreon cut in the mail. Thank you,
Guys, if you are not currently subscribed to Ron and Graham's work, make sure you are. And also make sure that you buy tickets to their comedy shows. We insist, and I've actually bought them multiple times. So please, we all have to spread the wealth around. The way it came about was I was doing a live stream with Jordan, and Jen saw me, and then she reached out and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Et cetera, et cetera. And then I just happened to be going to your show, and so did she. And so sure enough, we meet up at the show, and I had this half-baked idea after we started reconnecting that, you actually would make a pretty formidable opponent to Wasserman Schultz. And she was, I know you thought that I was out of my mind, but
I said, you're nuts.
But I did say that I would help you. And most people in political circles are always offering advice about what people should and shouldn't do, but are they actually willing to offer help? And that's something that I was willing to do. And so we ran into you guys, and it's just, relationships, as you know, in the political circles are very hard to maintain, especially when people make this sort of their livelihood and they can go in a lot of different directions that we don't necessarily agree with.
Oh, a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
The directions are endless. When you're in a country with no political ideology whatsoever, the directions are endless. You can just make shit up on the daily, start a new movement that means absolutely fucking nothing, and people will pay for it. It is a racket and a half.
Well, Graham, I think your screen is frozen, even though I can hear you. So keep that in mind. That might be
right.
And then, but what I did want to talk about, which Jen, I know you obviously wanted to address as well, is you guys are both in California, Southern California, where even though you don't live in Orange County, I'm sure you're both very familiar with Katie Porter and what just happened the other day. Should not come as any surprise to anybody. She is somebody who has been on or has heard from past staffers that she is not a nice person. That she is very nasty, to say the least, and she is the front runner, unfortunately, to become the next governor of California. And she is unabashedly, we'll let her share her thoughts. Because
not if we can help it.
Yeah, well, we're going to try. So this is Katie before the incident. Just want people to know this. This is very important.
I'm Congresswoman Katie Porter. Let me be 100% clear. I will continue to stand with Israel in this time of anguish, fear, and danger. I mourn with Israelis as they respond to and recover from this recent terrorist attack, and affirm that Israel absolutely has a right to defend itself. As a global leader, the United States must work with our allies to deliver justice. The terrorists who carried out these attacks should answer for their crimes, as should their backers in Iran. I am concerned by reports this weekend that Iranian officials worked with Hamas on this assault. I will support ongoing investigations to determine how this happened and continue to call out and condemn the Iranian regime. The U.S. must take stronger actions to limit Iran's abilities to fund and support terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah.
So she sucks altogether bad right off the bat without even having to see what type of behavior she's willing to employ. But just the fact that she is such a proud Zionist and such a avid supporter of war with Iran, yeah, pretty disturbing, guys. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thoughts, Graham?
Well, I mean, that's the insanity of the United States. I mean, it's competing cults. It's like dealing with a nation, and your choices are either alcoholics or meth heads to lead you. I mean, it's so crazy, and it's not surprising that she's also just a bad person. I mean, like American politics is set up to weed out people of like integrity and honor, and it's a corrupt system. You're going into, you're got to pick which mob run, brothel you want to work at. I mean, it's just it's awful, and it encourages and funds and supports the worst type of people, who are just, they only care about power. They only care about money. They don't care about, like she's talking about, we're going to do this investigation. Are we going to investigate, the Hannibal directive and all the stuff that's coming out about October 7th, how Israel was like kind of happy that this was happening. And we want to investigate, Iran. And it just sounds like this old playbook, like they're reading this old Iran, Hezbollah, all these scary words. I mean, if they could weave in Russia and China in there, they would, and it's why there's no leadership in California, living there. It's like in June when there was the ICE protest, the majority of which was very peaceful. I had friends at many of them. Some of them got violent, and who instigated the violence? It's usually the cops and stuff like that. Or just people pretending to be protesters, or I don't know, maybe some people were just mad and started some stuff. But then the whole June was another example, living in California, living in Los Angeles, how there's no leadership in this country. So that happens because the ICE raids are really wrong. And they're also obviously to promote the private prison industry. Of course, there's a dollar motive at the end of the day. And Trump sends in the Marines, which is illegal and against the Constitution. And then the Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, they're awful leaders as well. Then their response, Karen Bass says, well, I'm going to institute martial law. Basically, she put in a curfew. I was supposed to go to an event. I did go to an event that week with the Producers Guild, and they sent an email out to everybody saying we're going to this event in downtown LA, saying the event's supposed to go from like 6 to 9 or 9:30 or something like that. And they said, well, it's going to end at 8 because of the curfew. And I was like, what? That's our leadership. It's like Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom were effectively arguing, no, we are, jackboot cops are perfectly capable of violating Americans' right to free assembly. We don't need the Marines to come in. It was just like that. I was like, that's my leadership. That's the leadership. And again, I'll go back living in LA to the fires of January, and which was really it's awful. I have so many friends who lost homes. It was brutal. And I've been a Red Cross disaster volunteer for over 20 years. I've responded to dozens and dozens of fires. And the fact that we had one in January because of record drought and 100-mile-an-hour winds. And then again, these fires are happening. Joe Biden is still in office. He shows up, mumbles around. Oh boy, my grandson was born at, Cedar Side. I don't know what he's talking about. Karen Bass was in Ghana. She's not around. And she then when she's called to the carpet, she then fires several months later, the fire chief, who was a woman, who called her out. She fires her. There's no repercussions for that. Trump showed up after he got the fires were 3 weeks long. He gets sworn in and he shows up and does his dumb Trump thing. I invented water. Fires would never happen with me, or whatever stupid crap he says. And I'm like, these are the leaders we have in this country. These just utterly corrupt, selfish, soulless morons. Like there's no
really good.
Yeah. And I think that there is, and Ron, we definitely want to get your thoughts because, again, we are very much.
I mean, this is an awkward moment for me, actually, because I actually, full disclaimer, I did donate a significant portion of my new cryptocurrency to Katie Porter's campaign. Now, I was drunk when I did it, but
You hit the wrong button is what you did.
I thought I was just buying a protein supplement, but it just went to her campaign, and I was like, "Well, this is weird." But yeah, no,
You gotta call me first, Ron, when you do those things. Just
I
call
know.
me first.
I was just like, "Is this the right code?" Yeah, of course none of that happened, but yeah, I'm actually really not excited at all about the governor. I think the clown car is just starting. I mean, they say like Katie Porter's the front runner right now. Who knows if that'll stick? I have a feeling there's gonna be way worse cretins than her, even like on all sides. It's gonna be bad. But it also, listening to that spiel she gave that somebody else wrote for her, and she's saying to try to get votes. It's amazing to me where it's like in other parts of the world, and I'm not saying that, anywhere has, a perfect politics or no problem, but in other parts of the world, there is the proper context where people are just, hey, they're killing children and innocent people, and they're destroying a place. This isn't okay. This is never okay. There's never a situation where this could be okay. In any reasonable thought space, that is the right point of view to have if you're a frickin' human. But here, and only here, well, here in Israel, we're the only places where it's like, oh yeah, no, we need to give these platitudes about standing with Israel, which means nothing. It does mean something. It means I'm okay with the genocide because that's how our war machine works. But it means nothing in the big scheme of things to anything that's significant other than corruption. You have to give that kind of lip service, which is just, it's unbelievable to just watch what passes for thought leadership in this country. And, when you talk about how, yeah, our political system attracts people like this, that's true. And a lot of that's because of money and politics. But our thought leadership is also a huge freaking problem where you just have these people who are unqualified to do freaking anything, leading the race on, what our points of conversation are, what our Overton window is. They say this freaking nonsense about like Tylenol is the cause of transgender people coming in through Mexico or whatever nonsense it is that they're parroting, like just whatever it is that they're parroting. And then you get these idiots on TV in their suits going like, well, they bring up an interesting point. No, they don't. They don't bring up an interesting point. It's just your job is dependent upon making the rest of us still believe that the wrestling match is real. And it's just, I mean,
Wrestling's not real.
No, sorry, buddy.
Sorry, bro.
Wrestling is more real than politics.
Yes, well, yes.
Well, it's actually physical. Yeah, I mean,
That's
this
what
is
I mean. It's
no
real.
disrespect to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, and I honestly think that the NFL at this point is somewhere in between professional wrestling and an actual sporting competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
so well, I do think it's going to get very interesting, and we're definitely going to, before you guys go, we're definitely going to want to talk quickly about what happened in Saudi Arabia. But I do want to play this clip because I do think, number one, I do think that even though he is running in the Green Party, I do think that Butch Ware is a very solid candidate. And I think if he gets a decent infrastructure built behind him, he might actually be able to cause a stir. And the reason I think he's going to be able to cause a stir is because actions like this are actually how a front runner gets derailed from running for office. And I do believe that Katie's actions, particularly in this instance, is going to derail her campaign.
Say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump.
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
Wow.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Because she didn't answer it.
Oh.
That's some great press relations there. That's
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm not going to play the other one because I think it's pretty self-explanatory what a raging, well, Jen, you can say it. I'm not going to say it. there is another clip recently of her prepping for a speech, and her, I guess it was probably
What
her
did she
constant
get so angry about? Like, what? I mean, it seemed like the question was just, how are you going to appeal to voters from a different political party, which is a question that everyone gets asked in the history of ever. Like, if you don't have an answer for that, what are you doing?
Well, she has a Klobuchar-like reputation that she is extremely nasty to her staff. Like, this is like,
what's her Spanish name, though? Do you know?
It's
I don't know. Well, how do you say Spanish for Karen? She's clearly just a Karen. Like, she just can't handle. Look, she's even got the Karen haircut. She can't handle anybody questioning her on any level. Like you said, Rod, it's the most standard milquetoast question. How are you going to appeal to people from the other side of the party? You know what? I just can't. You can't. You're like, she's going to go complain to the manager that something was wrong. Like, it's and again, the thing that's so funny, the interviewer is a woman, which she's probably bummed because she was hoping it would be a man so that she could at least, she can't even claim sexism. Oh, he was asking me sexist questions because the patriarchy doesn't want. No, you're a horrible person. Here's equality. You're awful. You're awful. You're awful to women. You're awful to men. You're horrible. And, but, you know,
but she's got a whiteboard, Graham. She's got a whiteboard, and she likes to write shit on it, and she gets brownie points with the shit libs. I mean, that's got to count for something, right?
The liberals will vote for her. I mean, I try not to be cynical, but America is competing cults, and the MAGA people are obviously, they're like cultish. But even some of them are calling out Trump for his lack of pursuing Epstein, his getting money from Israel. But the liberals, I don't know. I don't know that the liberals living in LA, they're so.
No, the liberals in LA that live in places like the Hollywood Hills, like in Bel Air and Beverly Hills, they're going to see her acting like this and like, she's just like me.
Yeah. Woo! I was just complaining about my latte, my $19 latte yesterday morning in the same capacity. She's one of us, you know.
I too complain about totally appropriate questions for the context.
Could not agree more. I do think in a lot of ways this is going to be, again, there is a clip. I didn't want to play it because it gets to me when I see people who are workers get chewed out for no particular reason. There's a clip of her, you guys, I'm sure if plenty in the chat have probably already seen it. There's one that she just did recently that was not supposed to be filmed, but was of her saying to her comms director, "You're in my fucking shot." And it's just so clear that she's just a really nasty person. And believe it or not, especially in liberal politics, that type of stuff matters to them. Even the stuffy bastards that live up in the hills, they don't like that stuff. They don't like people being that level of condescending. So they'll find another person that isn't so bad. But I think that kind of opens up a lane potentially for somebody like Butch Ware to continue to gain, because again, right now we're looking at a revolutionary circumstance that we're trying to push forward. With that said, what do you take away from this comedy festival that just took place in Saudi Arabia? Obviously, Chappelle was there, Burr was there, Jeff Ross was there, a lot of big names were there. But then you also had an amazing early guest on our channel, David Cross, among other people, that spoke out against this and said this was not a good idea. We're only helping to, I guess what you would say, justify or curry favor to a regime like Saudi Arabia. Where do you guys stand on this?
Well, I mean, so Ron was on my show last week, right when it happened, and we talked about this. And you know, initially, I would say, I think I've expanded my view on it a little bit, in the sense that when I first heard, I was like, oh wow, these comics are kind of selling out, and they should be held accountable a little bit. But I was talking to a friend of mine, Mona Sheikh, who is a friend of mine, and she's Pakistani American, and she gave me a different perspective. And she said, you know, Graham, she goes, as a Muslim American, like all these, you know, they're like, Saudi Arabia is an oppressive regime, which it is, and it killed Khashoggi. And you know, Mark Maron made a very funny joke on stage. He said, "From the people that brought you 9/11, it's the and like they're in cahoots with us. And she brought up a very good point. She goes, you know what though? They're not funding the genocide in Gaza. The United States is. And I was like, wow, that is a very valid point. She gave me a little perspective on it that I didn't have prior to that. So I think a lot of these comics are, again, the distinction is they perform for the Saudi government. The Saudi government paid them. When they're working here in the States, Americans are buying tickets. The United States, the Department of Defense doesn't fund them to do shows in the United States. Their fans buy tickets to their comedy club shows, and they're all independent things. So the government isn't funding it. So it is still like you took money from the Saudi government, which is not like a nice. They're not awesome, and it doesn't have to be a side. I mean, but these comics today, and a lot of the people on that lineup, I was a little like, oh, they're just good doing it for the money, and I don't know. I ultimately, I don't think I wouldn't have done it if I was offered. I'll just tell you that.
Ron, what did you think?
Well, I mean, I think Graham kind of summed it up very well. I would have a very different perspective if this was some, organization that's trying to, help people in Saudi Arabia that operated some like DIY punk space under the radar or something like that. But again, this was for the oppressors. They did comedy for the oppressors themselves. It took money from the oppressors. So, the whole like, oh, well, this is the start of a dialogue. No, you did something for, it would be the equivalent of like doing a show for Trump, which guess what? A bunch of American comedians did. So I don't have, when it happened, I mean, yeah, I was kind of like, wow, that's pretty effed up. But I also wasn't at all surprised. I mean, so many of my peers willingly helped in usher a fascist coup in their own country. So I don't have any kind of like moral, like, oh man, I expect better from comedians. Like
some of them,
I can't believe they did something for money and nothing else. I can't believe. I mean, how many? I think half of these, like all this like big alt-right comedy thing that's going on. I think most of them don't even have that belief. They just saw how easy it was to make money because most of them were doing something totally different, and they were like, oh shit, if I say this alt-right stuff, I could sell more tickets and like make a bunch of money online. And by the way, like comedy clubs are some of the most moralist institutions in the fucking world. They're just the bottom feeder of show business, existing one mozzarella stick at a time, and they're just like they'll literally book Nazis if you're selling tickets. Literally, that's happening right now. They don't give a fuck. So yeah, I just wasn't all the outrage. I read David Cross's piece. It was a really nice piece that he wrote. Mark Merritt, like it was really nice input, but there was part of me that was just like, are you guys remotely surprised? I found it kind of humorous that like a big universal thought on the blogosphere that was the only person that surprised them was Bill Burr. Everyone else, they were just like, well, of course they would do this. But Bill Burr, I'm surprised. And then Bill Burr like doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. Like he was like, they have a Chili's. Come on. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Burr. Yeah. And you bring up such great points. And the other thing, too, is like, there's no people writing like David Cross. And he wrote the very articulate thing. And I even texted Mark Maron. I said, hey, man, like, good for you for speaking out, and I don't know Mark that well, but.
Subtly letting us know you got Mark Maron's phone number.
Name dropping.
I've been in show business a long time. So I also have Sarah Silverman's number, and nobody is holding her accountable for being very pro-genocide. So, like, well, I mean, Amy Schumer.
She did date Jimmy Kimmel, and that alone just puts her in the cool club with the libs. So that's
like her. Amy Schumer, it was announced in Variety magazine last month. Amy Schumer is doing like an IDF rom-com. Like she's like, this is the most like propaganda thing ever. And David Cross and Mark Maron, I don't see them getting outraged about that. So this is sort of, again, going back to Ron's point of like the selective outrage. The stand-up comedy world is not some sort of moral high ground. Yeah. People that have high morals are people like Lee Camp, who had his 250,000 subscriber YouTube channel wiped. And anti-war. I mean, there's a reason why Bill Hicks and George Carlin never got late night talk shows because there's a whole system in place. And
Not
it's the
this
same.
country. He could have had one in England, but
Yeah, of course.
Well, we want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. And we know we could go for another hour if we really wanted to.
But we started with you because you guys are the beginning of the story.
Yes,
Thank you.
1000%. And guys, the links are in the description. As you know, Graham and Ron are comedians, and they are good comedians. If you haven't seen their show, please check it out. Please subscribe to their channels on YouTube as well. And if you want to get some insight into the financial wheelings and dealings of cryptocurrency, yes, Graham Ellwood is the person you should be listening to.
Bitcoin only, baby. Bitcoin, live or die. That's my get out of the system.
Appreciate you being here, and we'll be talking.
Thank you guys
again.
for being here on our 5-year anniversary.
Thank you.
all right, thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
And I told you the same thing, like with all that selective outrage over the comedy show. And I said, so then comedians who perform in places in this country should also have problems, right? Because we have a lot of human rights violations here. Should comedians not perform in states that don't have women's reproductive rights? I mean, we could start going down the list. And so it doesn't make sense to me to get on people for that.
Well, I would say that's a great transition because, when we talk about our origin story, we should also, talk about the fact that, somebody who has been through a lot in their life and has seen a lot. And the reason why he is always fighting for justice is for that reason. And he was also somebody who was, needless to say, he had no obligation to do it. But when Jen and I were first starting out, especially when she ran for Congress, he was one of the few large channels before anyone knew who we were that was willing to platform her. And he has been a friend ever since. And we hope will continue to be. Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report, welcome for the first time to Revolutionary Change.
Hi. Hey, nice to see you both. Thank you for having me. Congrats on 5 years and the name change.
Thank you. It was internal. I just wasn't about transforming politics into service as much as I was about like setting shit on fire now.
I like
so
that.
it just felt appropriate along with the rage. But yeah, you were, other than Jordan, who was a friend with Peter. So I don't know that even really counts because it was sort of like, it doesn't count. You were first. Okay. Yeah. But you were the first like big platform that was nice and had me on. And I don't know if you know who we're bringing on. I don't know if you know our next guest who's coming on with you, but I'm like doing like a wine and cheese pairing here. So we're going to see, we're going to see how this goes. So the other person we're bringing on is not one of the original people, but is someone who has just been exceptionally supportive and really good to me. And that I very much appreciate, and has also given me one of the most thoughtful gifts anyone has ever given me. So that will always like be special to me. So, and he's an author and he's very, very smart and can get into the weeds on all sorts of dorky historical shit. So we really like that. So bring in Ken.
Ken McCarthy, welcome
Ken
back
McCarthy.
to Revolutionary Change.
Yeah, but I'm not as funny as you guys.
You are funny. Mike, do you know Ken? Have you guys ever met?
We've never met, I don't think. It's nice to meet you, Ken.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So Ken is an author and writes a lot of cool books. And Mike is the host and the producer of the Humanist Report, which is a big platform and also does Leftist Mafia.
No, it's a really stupid show. Don't even convince people it's even worth watching. It's totally not. Believe me, I know what's best for everybody. I had to do that for you because I know that you appreciate it. So
I do love it. Thank you, Peter.
So we had a couple things that we wanted to talk about with you guys. Like we sat and thought, okay, what should we talk about with each one of these like groups? Like what would be interesting? And do you want to start with the local stuff there, Peter? Like what do you want to?
Well, I think it would actually be appropriate because right now, again, for those of you who don't know, Mike lives in one of the more unique states in the country, and that's Oregon. It's actually considered one of the best states for many reasons, but it's actually a very interesting split. If you're in the Northwest corridor along the Pacific, you're in one of the most progressive liberal havens in the entire country. And then when you move inland, you are in as libertarian red as you can possibly be in the United States. But of course, that's the reason why there's the Greater Idaho Project that's going on in the Pacific Northwest. But that's essentially what it is. But what's interesting, and Ken, obviously, I'm sure you've been at the forefront of this, there is a real split and MAGA right now, especially in lieu of the fact that a lot of people are not fully on board with the Trump agenda, whether they agree with what's going on right now in places like Chicago, and now we saw what they're trying to do in Portland. I think because of his full-blown capitulation to Israel and how the America Firsters in places like Oregon are responding to this, I think there is a definitive break, and we're going to see whether it's a party realignment or whatever it's going to look like in this country. But I think a massive shift is happening right now, and would love to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Okay. Could I think I have something to say. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I wrote this book, was to enroll that part of the world into the idea that Israel's not your friend, is not the friend of the United States, has gotten us involved in all kinds of bad things, maybe going all the way back to 63. And now the Charlie Kirk thing comes along, and that's really showing the seams, in that group. I don't know how true it was that he was going up against Israel, but it seemed, those were real quotes. I don't know if you've seen the quotes from his various,
yes.
Yeah. And I heard somewhere else that 50% of the questions he was getting on the road were about Israel. So there's this very large group that we thought was lost to us forever that may become allies. And I think that's very exciting, and we should open our minds to the possibility and not reject them out of hand because of their MAGA status,
Mike, we have grown this channel, as I'm sure you've noticed, exponentially in like the past 4 months. It's an incredible ride that we've been on, and we hope it continues. But you obviously have a very large channel, and I am sure that you have an interesting contingent of people that you see in the chats. And obviously, you are a true left Politico. Have you noticed any shift in any of the what you would consider frenemies, if you will, that would typically either be giving you the business and things like that? But they've definitely shown this interest in trying to have some type of camaraderie when it comes to the issue of Israel.
You see inklings here and there. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, who has lately been speaking out more against Israel. And she, I believe, is the only Republican who uses the G word, which is significant, right? Yeah. Having said that, though, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a bridge to some sort of lasting political coalition with the right, because the problem with right-wingers is that they have no class consciousness with us. They only have class consciousness with the billionaires. So even though you might be able to, like, congressionally speaking, get Ro Khanna and other maybe like more libertarian-minded Republicans on board with like something that Mike Lee and Bernie did back in 2018, the War Powers Resolution to stop our complicity with Saudi Arabia's genocide, I don't think there's going to be much fruit there on the grassroots level, because ultimately, even though it's nice to see them come around to Israel, particularly younger Republicans, I question if there's anything more that you can build off of that. Because if you fundamentally are entrenched in capitalism and you want to defend that system, and you don't think that, billionaires are the problem and that it's trans people and immigrants, I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of benefits to aligning with them. Sure, if you're a member of Congress, definitely work with, Marjorie Greene to get her on board with these things. But like, I think a better thing to really pursue is more of the political normies. It's kind of the Zoran Mamdani approach, right? Where you go to these people who have been politically inactive, or who maybe voted for Trump but didn't necessarily follow politics too closely. So, you ask them why, and it's affordability. You talk to them on those issues. But the issue with regard to Israel is that it's very hard to build a class solidarity movement. And class consciousness, in my mind, is the only way to really lead to like a political awakening, or political revolution in like the Reagan sense, where we transform politics. So I'm very, very skeptical about it. Part of it is because I'm overly cynical, because I've dealt with these people for a very long time. And even when they show an ounce of reasonability on one issue, they show how unreasonable and insane they are on like a plethora of other issues. But I'd be happy to be proven wrong though. But it all comes down to class consciousness at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree that at the end of the day, we're in a class war. But at this point, all the power that we can take away from supporting Israel, like all of the people coming together on that issue, is significant. So even if that's as far as it gets, but it ends the Zio state, I'll take it.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's fair.
And I'm finding that is a very common thread. That's what I'm finding. I'm finding that, you'll have the people. Listen, we got people that have found their way to our channel that love what we're fighting for and then feel that they have to bash Greta Thunberg. And it's like, guys, it's like you gotta, and I just say to them,
old habits die hard, Peter.
Yeah, old habits die hard. It's like, listen, I don't care if you don't like Greta Thunberg. Do you like the fact that she is trying to disassemble this relationship we have with Israel? And if your answer is yes, then just let it go. And if your answer is no, then you're proving that your interest, as Mr. Figueredo just said, is with the billionaire class, the Zio billionaire class, and not with the working people of this country. Because let's be honest, this is a have and have not situation now, if there ever was one. Ken, your thoughts?
There's also the issue of like, I don't trust their motivations. Even though it's certainly true that like anti-Semitism getting conflated with anti-Zionism is extremely problematic, and they weaponize the anti-Semitism allegation to shut down criticism. I think that a lot of folks on the right, namely individuals like Nick Fuentes, like that's the most obvious example, I think they are motivated by anti-Semitism, and they're not opposed to Israel because they're rooted in like this anti-colonial, anti-imperialist politics. It's because they think they can like use that to push white identity politics and prove that like, see, this is what Israel is doing. There's a link to Jewish people and them ushering in immigration and great replacement. So I think that like the reason why I'm so skeptical about the right here is that they could use this as a Trojan horse. But I'm 100% with you that like when it comes to congressional allies and whatnot, you take what you can get. So like if you can get the most unlikely allies like Rashida Tlaib and Marjorie Greene to come together and agree, hey, let's vote to defund the military aid and do an arms embargo. Like Marjorie Greene hasn't supported that yet. Maybe she will. But if you can get that, hell yeah, take what you can get.
Yeah.
Well, then there's also, within the MAGA world, there are a lot of people that voted for Trump just because they didn't want Kamala.
Right.
For no other reason. And I can almost not blame them. I mean, like, I get it.
Yeah.
And so we should pay attention to those people who are classed as MAGA, but maybe just didn't want what was on offer this time.
What I'm noticing, which I think is very clear cut, and again, you brought up Nick Fuentes, which I think is a great example, and that is somebody I do cover usually once every other week, Mike, because what I try to point out to people is that, yes, he is correct, but why is he correct? If you look under the surface, you'll notice that the reason he's saying what he's saying is more than just, oh, I think what Israel's doing is bad. It's, I hate the Jews is basically what he wants to say, but he knows he can't say that. So that is a framework of somebody like him that is not good. But I do see the defiance of somebody like Tucker Carlson to be very refreshing, even if it's only temporary, because he can move people. And the way he went after the Christian Zionists the other day, which again, Jen, as you often like to mention, there's the Jewish Zionists that have the money and the power, but they don't have the numbers. The numbers in this country is the Christian Zionists.
Yep.
That's the flock. Those are the people that, and if you're not familiar, guys, with Casey Malone, she's got a nice channel that she's building right now. She's from Oklahoma. She grew up in the John Hagee Evangelical Church, and she basically is like, yeah, they indoctrinate you into believing that you have to die for Israel when you're born, and it's like if you question it, you're going to hell. That's basically what it's been like. But now it's starting to change. And part of the reason I think it's changing isn't just because of the control that Israel has over us. Is everybody not looking around? We are living in another recession, almost as bad, if not worse, than what we had over a decade ago. Like, you have to pretend that it's not this bad. But I'm in commercial real estate, and I know it's bad. So I would imagine that in itself, the class struggle, that even people who are, let's say, pro-Trump all the way, if you can't pay your fucking bills, it doesn't matter. That's nothing's going to save you. No amount of feeling good about going after a trans person is going to solve the fact that your economic situation is terrible. And I think that in itself is how most people are eventually going to unite. That's my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, one can hope, right?
Yeah. I mean, let me be clear. I don't talk about Nick Fuentes. Peter does that on his own time because I have no interest in talking about that guy. I don't like to talk about other people like that. Also, I just think he's hateful. It's just not my vibe. So I have no interest in giving a further platform to someone that I think is a bigot.
But I also think it's important that we discuss this in the right framework because, again, a lot of people flock to people like Fuentes because they are hurting right now. They are desperate and they are listening to him. And he is saying things that other people should be saying and they're not saying. And this is why, even though I think Zoran has hit some roadblocks in terms of what how he's trying to, split hairs right now with some of his rhetoric. But at the end of the day, he's already won. He ran as an unapologetic Indian Muslim socialist in the most Zionist part of the United States, and he pulled it off. He's going to be the next mayor of New York City. So to say that is the biggest shot across the bow to Zionism would be an understatement. And that, to me, I think is a huge victory. And if he gets in there and passes just one piece of that legislation, if he creates a government-run grocery store to mitigate the unconscionable cost of living problems that come with affording food in New York City, I mean, forget it. The guy is the leader of the Democratic Party as far as I'm concerned. That's not saying much, but hey, that's where I stand.
But will they accept him? Will they accept a good guy?
I don't know. He's also backtracked. Like a lot of the things he's putting out lately are a little disappointing. And yet saying that's of course who I would be voting for and supporting. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But yeah. And I also think it's unfair that people are putting an inordinate amount of pressure on him to take stands on things that he has no control or has no power to do anything about, right? Like this is somebody running to be the mayor. This isn't somebody running to be president. So while I understand we want him to think what we think and we want him to share our opinions, at the end of the day, that's not in his wheelhouse.
Remember that episode a couple of months ago where all the candidates were being asked, the New York City mayor, do you swear undying allegiance to the state of Israel? And he's like, I'm not even going to even respond to that, No. And the rest of them were all like, yes, we're in. So it's we got to take the wins wherever we find them. That you're right, Peter. That's a huge win. I can't believe that he's winning in New York, but he's going to.
Yeah.
Mike, Jen and I were talking earlier about Bernie and, what could have been. We're in this, I said earlier, we're like in this Back to the Future 2 Biff horrific time warp where Wasserman Schultz rigged the primary. It should have been Bernie. Bernie absolutely would have beat Trump in 2016. I want to hear a word from anybody who says otherwise because everyone knows it's true. And if that had been the case, at the bare minimum, I think it's fair to say, despite all of the red tape they would have thrown at him, we would have at least gotten the public option. We would have at least gotten some form of tuition-free public college and trade schools. We would have gotten probably nothing with the minimum wage, but we would have at least had a pathway forward with labor growth and union strength that would have changed things. And we wouldn't have been as jingoistic or as pro-war as it ultimately ended up being over the course of the Trump and Biden years, as we've seen. But I do wonder where we go from here. What is the direction? And as far as Jen and I are concerned, elections matter, but the future is not going to come through electoral politics. How do you see the future unfolding as we try to build some semblance of a left populist movement?
Oh, that's if I go too far into the future, it gets very dark. So I don't know how far you want me to go, but yeah, I'm completely black-pilled on electoral politics. I still talk about it because, like you said, it does matter. I agree with you totally. But I don't think it's going to be the catalyst for change that we were hoping. I think that a lot of us got sidetracked because Bernie really gave us like a glimpse of what could have been. Like I think that in alternate reality somewhere, he just finished his second term and his predecessor has taken over and it's like an FDR type movement. This is my cope. But like it's hard to say that like, oh, there's gonna be somebody like Bernie, a different Bernie type figure like Zoran that comes along and they change everything, because at the end of the day, it really is about like bottom up politics and not top down. Like, even if you go back to FDR, he was an elitist who was pressured to become the working class champion that he was, right? He didn't do that on his own accord. He became an ally because, people forced him to be that way. So it always comes down to whether or not people are mobilized. And part of the challenge now is that there's just not community like there was during, that era, right? There's much less unionization. We don't have community just like in terms of social gatherings. Like, if you just go out, like, where is there to even just hang out anymore? Like, people don't go to libraries. Everything has been commodified. So the real problem we're facing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've kind of been isolated because of our phones, and COVID exacerbated that. So we all put ourselves in these bubbles, and that is really beneficial to like the ruling class because, if we don't talk to each other, if we don't, organize with each other, then it's really hard to affect political change. And that's why I think the default for so many people is just to hope and pray that we get another Bernie-like figure who can, turn that spark into a fire. But it really doesn't work that way. And I kind of feel like we've got to think a little bit outside the box. And I don't know how you would facilitate this or scale it, but like, we have to try to minimize our reliance on tech, especially given how bad it's going to get with AI and how you're not going to be able to tell what's real or what's not real. So trying to reestablish community is probably like the number one priority. I don't necessarily know that that's going to lead to wide scale change, but that's like the main thing that's so difficult is like, we're separated from our own family members because we don't talk to each other anymore. And like I'm speaking from my own personal experience, but this is what other people are sharing as well. It goes back to the young men, the young male like loneliness epidemic that we're seeing, where they are struggling to find mates. And you look at the political differences between Gen Z women and men, and it's crazy. So like, the separation from us is leading to like this dehumanization of each other. Because like, if you don't talk to people of color, if you don't talk to somebody who's trans, then you're just gonna like, your vision of them is gonna be a stereotype or what's told to you on social media. It's gonna be like the worst interpretation of humanity, and that's all we're getting through social media. So finding some way to detangle social media from our politics, if that's even possible at this point, is going to be the struggle. But at the same time, it's a balance because, whenever I say that, I worry that like liberals take it as, oh, that means we have to censor on social media. And that's not what I'm trying to put out there. So it's really hard to address a problem without it being pounced on by nefarious actors. So I can't answer your question because I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But I will say that if it doesn't necessarily repeat, but it rhymes, after fascism, that comes the the economic boom and the New Deal. Maybe we'll get another one when this is all said and done. I have no idea, though. I'm crossing my fingers because I honestly am so lost at this point in terms of like what to even expect anymore, because my expectations have been shattered by the last 10 years.
All right, Ken, give us hope, because you are definitely like the more experienced, knowledgeable person here in terms of you've seen more.
I'm
like,
older.
what is the? No, I didn't say that.
I am.
Okay, you're older.
Older. I didn't say I'm old. I'm older.
You're old.
Okay. I'm not old.
No. Okay. So what like have you seen anything like this? Like what? I mean, where are we going?
I mean, I'm not going to be the optimist here. That's why I think that doing things locally is so important. I saw who was it? Sabi Sabs had a guest on, and he was a guy just doing stuff in his neighborhood. And I'm like, you know what? I'd like to see a whole lot more of that on podcasts. Like maybe 1 out of 5. Just some bread and butter. I'm out there working in the community, helping people. Because we need to set models for that. So that's really important. I'm concerned because, and Peter probably is on this too. We're heading off an economic cliff of epic proportion. Something like 50% of all our investment is in AI.
It's a bubble.
But what's terrible is that Like we've put it all on red. Like our economy has bet everything on AI, and it's not going to pay out. I'll tell you that right now. So all that money is going to go up in smoke, which will not hurt the billionaire class. They'll just shift a few assets around, but it's going to massacre working people. So I'm really worried about that. And these things are often preludes to big wars, you know. And I'm not, yeah. And I don't want to go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Yeah, and I'm not equating Charlie Kirk with, you know, Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or anything, but he was a political force. And he was a political force who seemed to be turning against war to a degree. I don't know how much it was. He's gone, right? Dead. It seems that every time a political force that's against war dies, we're either on our way to a big war or we're, you know, for instance, I mean, Kennedy died and Vietnam got ramped up. Martin Luther King and RFK got killed the same year, which happened to be the same year of the absolute peak of the Vietnam War. I would even say John Lennon. I don't believe that crazy guy, John Chapman, whatever his name was, killed him.
Mark David Chapman.
Mark David Chapman. And I mean, he was there. And what happened? Well, you know, Grenada, Panama, Iraq won. So the killing of Charlie Kirk may be the part of the clearing of the decks for a big war, because they have to shut people up. And he could have been a problem to their war effort.
I want to leave you guys with a thought before you go. You bring up a good point, and I would definitely say I've seen enough of Charlie Kirk to know that he thought it was more about him than it really was. He was just a figurehead that got popped up by the billionaire class, starting with the Koch brothers and then leading. It is John Lennon's birthday today. What I think ended up happening, and I say this to you, Mike, is I think ever so slightly, Charlie was having an attack of conscience. And then the people who got him to where he was, that allowed him to put on these, and I went to one of his events in Tampa Bay, these spectacular displays of Turning Point USA that cost millions of dollars to set these up at the convention centers and have all these big guests come in. That's not free. That costs a lot of money. And you want to run that operation, you want to go and speak to thousands of people at campuses, all those things cost money. And you want to start biting the hand that feeds you. It's one thing if you've never taken the Zionist money before. It's another thing if you've been taking it for years and you all of a sudden decide, yeah, I'm not listening to you anymore. Oh, really? You're not going to listen to us anymore? Okay, now watch. And sure enough, what we're living in right now is a situation where even a channel like ours, and I know you'll find this hard to believe, Mike, but Charlie did a clip just before he passed where he included like 5 or 6 different content creators. He put on Cenk and TYT, put on, I want to say the Midas guys, and a couple of other people. And then he put me. And I'm thinking, of all the people you're going to put, you put me on with these multi-million platform people. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe you had respect for what we had to say. And I bring this up because we had a viral clip that just went out the other day about a Zionist synagogue in New York City that basically is preaching human sacrifice in order for the state of Israel to survive. They decided to call the police on us.
Oh,
and they had to show up at Jen's door. They showed up at my door at 11:30 at night. At the beginning, when was it? Whatever, it was like 4 or 5 nights ago. And I thought about it and I realized whatever we're doing it right, because we're scaring the shit out of the very people who are trying to stop us from doing what they want them to do. And I looked right into the camera and I said, point blank, and I'll say it again, I am not suicidal. You can go fuck yourself. And I am not going to stop what I'm doing. You are going to have to kill me to make me stop, because I cannot look at these children being massacred every goddamn day. I cannot look at this country that is dying a slow death because of the people who run it, who do not answer to the people. That's what a real dictatorship looks like. You could call it fascism, you call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we are being run by lunatics who do not care about the people that are living in this country. And they are daring us to do something. I hope we collectively work together. But I can assure you that if we make this a class war and nothing more, we will find our way out of it. That's the only way it's going to happen. And as long as you guys are doing your thing and we're doing our thing and we're collaborating where and when we can, I have some degree of optimism, however small it may be. But I got some.
I don't.
Thanks,
I
Jen.
think we're all just going to hell. I actually am a big proponent in building small, sustainable, regenerative communities. I think we need to go back to where we came from in terms of living smaller and living less. And I think that is so the antithesis of capitalism in this country. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in.
Yeah.
Well, that's choice. Final thoughts before we depart for the evening and bring in our next panel.
Just happy 5th anniversary. I love the show. You're fun. You're courageous. What's a better combination?
Thank you so much. And guys, read Ken's book. Hold it up again, because this is the one when we had you on recently to talk about, Peter's, he has his. It's JFK's and RFK's secret battle against Zionism.
Yeah, there we go. And
I'm telling you, get this book. It's really, really good.
Jen introduced me to Katie Halper. And I did a clip, we did a show with her, and one of the clips was Kennedy receiving the newly elected president of Algeria after they defeated the French. Biggest reception ever at the White House. I've never seen a bigger one. And that clip has had we're closing in on 1 million views.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and I get fan mail from people in Algeria who are just amazed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and that's what it's about,
Yeah. Well, I'm all about cross-pollinating. And Mike, you were one of my OGs for sure. Like, you had me on, like, nobody else was talking to me. Nobody else wanted to talk to me, but you were wanting to talk to me. And I appreciated that so much.
Right on.
Of course.
And you got 50,000 subscribers now. And Mike, you can confirm this. The first 50,000 are the hardest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean,
1,000%.
It's going to go nicely.
Well, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, and I appreciate you saying 50,000, but right now we are closing in on 75,000 subscribers. So we're
almost at that button. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we're climbing.
It's thanks to people like you. It's thanks to people like you that got us here, and both of you really, and I appreciate it. And that's why I wanted to invite all the people that helped us get where we are.
Are you going to have a cake or something?
Well, Peter won't eat cake, so he'll ruin all fun food things because Peter won't eat cake. But
Jen's in South Florida. Yeah, Jen's in South Florida. I'm in the Panhandle.
We're making a big announcement.
Wow.
Yeah, if you guys do stick around after we depart in about a half hour or so, we've got a very big announcement we're making. So you might want to at least.
Mike has to go do Leftist Mafia. He has
to catch the VOD. Yeah, but I'm excited to see the announcement. I'm always checking what you guys are doing. Always support it. Always love what you guys are putting out there. Really, really happy that you guys have just blown up lately. It's nice to finally be validated for the effort you've put in for so long. So I'm happy for you all. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
So good to see you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Great crowd. Really great
crowd.
Oh, really great people. Really having a really great time. Well,
yeah.
Talk about an OG, somebody who's been with us for a long time, and then a new OG, because I know he will be an OG as we go forward.
Yes, but this is interesting. So for people who are new, one thing is we have a very big cross appeal, right? We've got a lot of different political opinions in our chat. We range from very left to right, libertarian. We have a lot of different people. And the next person we're bringing on is a testament that we can just all get along. We can get along and have like really good conversations, even though we don't agree on everything. And also, it's just somebody who's always been incredibly supportive from like the very first days of our show. And now, wait, he has changed the name of his show again. So I'm pretty sure it's Red Index or Index. Bring him on. Bring on his side.
For somebody that, as somebody who does not care for Nick Fuentes, here is somebody who does care for Nick Fuentes.
That's
so
okay.
Cyrus, get in here.
Whoa. What's up? Long time, Jen. Peter, it's always been too long. How you doing? What a great intro. Thank you so much. I still remember the first time we talked.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
So hard. You've been on, like, I feel like you've been on a handful of times at this point, like
Oh
at
yeah.
least. But you are one of, like, you prove that we can cross-pollinate across the spectrum, and we can agree on the things that matter the most in a lot of cases. And I think that's really important. And plus, I love that you represent a whole, like, a different ideology than would necessarily be assigned to you based on physical appearance, and that you are not a monolith, and that you are a very independent thinker. And I really respect that about you.
Well,
But tell me the name of your new show, because it's like Index Red.
Yeah, it's been like 3 name changes. It's all good. Index Red. Yes, I did change it again. I was middle MAGA, and as you know, the political right has fractured. I am anti-MAGA at this point.
listen, you don't know what you're talking about. Have you not seen? We're so hot. We're so hot right now. We're totally on fire. But I don't want to leave you hanging. You're actually in for a real treat tonight. You're getting, you're not just getting any guest. You're getting somebody who we don't just consider a friend, but somebody who's actually a real hero.
A hero.
Yeah, a hero. Somebody who's actually put his life on the line and is now doing it on the steps of the Capitol, but decided to step away from it for at least a few minutes to come join us. And of course, he is now becoming a regular, amazingly, on our channel. Anthony Aguilar, welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
Hi.
Hi. It's great seeing y'all.
It's so good to see you. You know, I saw you getting harassed in front of the Capitol for a change, and having to have an argument with these people as to where is the actual public sidewalk. And, oh, well, we have to keep walking, but yet we can't walk. So what are we supposed to do? Like,
Well,
it's off the wall.
Well, why don't we play it so that everybody has an idea of what
I haven't seen it yet. I don't remember
Oh,
what
okay.
but
Well,
I do remember
Osiris,
that the discussion was absolutely ridiculous.
it was absurd. Osiris, do you know, I'm sure, I don't think you've met, but do you know who Anthony is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, so Anthony has been a very brave whistleblower about what is going on in Gaza, as somebody who was over there to help with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which we know is bullshit, but has had a lot to report about that. And of course, they've been trying to silence him for coming forward, somebody with an impeccable record, which is disgusting. But anywho.
Here we go.
Capitol grounds, it says you can have a bullhorn and a speaker. It says that you can. But what?
So where are you at right now?
Okay, so then I'll use it on the sidewalk.
Yeah, sir, right where you speaking? Where you at right now? You're in a red zone, all right? That's all we're trying to advise you.
This is not a red zone.
Yeah, that's a yellow zone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you stay there, then you're fine. And you can't be walking back and forth.
They said that we had to continue walking.
Yeah, but
the person over there just said that we had to continue walking. Get your straight.
If you walk there and back, then you're traversing, and that's not allowed.
She just said
we have to continue walking.
Have it recorded.
Yeah, to and from where you're trying to go. You guys can't just walk on Capitol grounds wherever you want.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, we can.
You're protesting.
I'm not protesting.
Demonstrating, whatever you want to call it. You can't do that.
Now, I have a feeling, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that they spoke to you in a different tone than they would have spoken to just about anybody else. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, they backed off pretty quick, when the entire time I was there, I stayed there at the Capitol for a good hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and wasn't approached again. They got on their bikes and rode away in their fanny packs and stood by. And, what I feel for them is that, yesterday, I ended my day yesterday with a nice little treat. I treated myself to the committee hearing to nominate the new general counsel to the CIA. I thought that would have been a good one. So treated myself to a little Congress theater. And one of the officers that was there, one of the Capitol Police, because there was another demonstration in this hearing where another person was protesting and hauled out. But at the end, Senator Risch, who's on this committee, who was also the chair of the committee that I got arrested on, who walked by and recognized me, said to the cop there, "Hey, boys, really earned that paycheck today." And I said to Senator Risch, I was like, "Well, that's funny because they're not getting paid right now." And Senator Risch was like, "Are y'all not getting paid?" And the Capitol Police officer was like, "No, sir, we're not getting paid right now." And I was like, "You are a tool bag. You are what is wrong with this country.
You're a U.S. senator and you don't know if the Capitol Police are being paid during a shutdown. Again, who do we hire to run this country?
Well, they're getting paid. They're all getting paid.
Entitled, privileged people that do not represent the needs of their people and their constituents. We have allowed people in power to become the nepotistic monarchies that we detest. We've allowed it.
We have one more clip to play. I know you know who this guy is, so let's roll it.
And that you stop lying.
Have him removed immediately.
You will stop and cease the war in Gaza.
We will stop nothing.
Well, leave it to Tom Cotton. Let's highlight that, ladies and gentlemen. We will stop nothing.
You know, I was sitting to that gentleman's right. We were in there together. I was kind of coaching him through the process, where the C-SPAN camera is, how to position yourself. He did a great job. And in sitting next to him there, I kind of thought to myself, never interrupt an idiot when they're in the middle of making themselves look like an idiot. So I just sat there for the rest of the committee hearing and let Tom Cotton talk. And it's just the humor writes itself.
Yeah.
In terms of the most bloodthirsty federally elected representatives that we have, I would imagine that you would find Cotton to be pretty much near the top. Is that fair to say?
Horrible human being. I do not like him as a senator. I do not like him as there's some senators I know that there's just, they just can't get themselves off of that political ledge, but you can see through it. With him, I've seen through it, and he's just a bad person.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing we'll play this through, and I have thoughts as we discussed with our previous panel regarding the split with MAGA, but let's finish this.
We will stop nothing.
I want them to stop the genocide in Gaza and proceed to stop lying to the American people, because they've been doing it for too long. They've been funding the genocide, Israel.
All right, you stop following. We're taking them down the loading dock.
So, Josie, what just happened?
Well, we just had a retired U.S. Army officer just get arrested inside of the Senate intelligence hearing because the U.S. Senate is complicit in the genocide. They are funding this genocide. While this government is shut down, we have our Senate and our Congress still sending billions of dollars to Israel. There was an interruption by this Army officer to call for an end to the genocide, and that the U.S. is complicit in this genocide.
Osiris, I just want to know, from the middle perspective, from the more libertarian perspective, where are you on the shutdown and the political theater of it all?
Well, it is just all theater. It's all games. It's pretty much meaningless, because from the standpoint is they're keeping enough of the government open not to get the public upset at them. So it's just more games. It came out just as we were going to get, I think there are enough votes now to move that measure to, they can't make the executive branch spill the Epstein files, but it looks like they're going to get the vote, 218, I believe. And it's curious how this happened, and they're all doing this WWE performance type of thing. And then you have the influencers dividing it up between a fake right and a fake left. They're all the same. So from my standpoint, it's all a game, and they're playing a big joke on us.
It's not very funny.
No. I mean, if we're not going to wake up, they're going to keep playing it.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I believe that there is a definitive split happening within MAGA right now. I think it's very real. I think that really just comes down to a simple variable. You're either America first or you are Israel first. I think it's pretty crystal clear that that's what's going on. You both at a time or another supported Trump. Obviously, you've seen how that has changed dramatically, to say the least. In fact, I would go so far as to say if Trump was actually running a legitimate America first administration right now, that he would have a hell of a lot more leeway to go into these major cities and basically pull this dictatorial stunt that he's doing, whether in Chicago or any other city. But because of the fact that he has capitulated to such a obvious and public degree when it comes to Milikowski, real name, Netanyahu, and the state of Israel, that he really has lost his, I wouldn't even say it's totally just his swagger, but his ability to command a movement, I think, is cratering in a lot of ways right now. I would even go so far as to say that whatever movement is being led by Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens right now is bigger than whatever movement Trump is leading at this moment. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What you're seeing right now is Donald Trump is basically, I know we're early on, but he's still a lame duck. And MAGA doesn't exist without him. J.D. Vance is not MAGA. He might put on the gear or try to rep the symbol. So what you're seeing is a fight right now. It is Israel, but it's also this, even without, take Israel off the table, you would see a fight anyway to see who's going to be the next person to carry over those voices. So you put Israel on top of that, you just have an explosion right now.
Yeah, I agree with Osiris and exactly what you were saying, and that it's theater, but then also the fact that, yeah, MAGA is nothing without Donald Trump, because J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, they don't have the swagger. And the thing that Trump brought to it is that he had the swagger and he had the street cred of nobody owns me. He's given that up because it's so clear now that he's owned by Milikowski. He is Milikowski's phone-holding bitch boy in the Oval Office.
Chair pulling out,
Chair pulling out.
For you.
It's disgusting. It's, if I had 10 minutes with Donald Trump to sit down with him, I'd be like, dude, pull it together. Like, don't like just pull it together, man. Like, you are looking weak. And, I think it's funny that, when he was first running, he comes down the golden elevator in Trump Tower, and then the image that will now be burned in everyone's memory in the UN is him going up the elevator and it stops. Like, it's like, that's a perfect analogy to how his character arc has gone from where it was to where it is now.
Yeah. Osiris, so where does a lost MAGA man go now? Right? Like, where do you find yourself in this political system now? It's like you seem kind of homeless. I mean, I've been homeless for a long time.
Yeah, it's simple. America First, as led by Nicholas J. Fuentes, is that movement right now is the most authentic, and it is the natural progression of the Donald Trump MAGA. These are people, young, white, Christian males who kind of lead that movement, who were big Trump supporters and still love Trump, even with all the problems, even with all the criticism, still love Trump for, he woke me up. I'll always be grateful for Trump, no matter how hard I rail against him now. But that's part of the battle. That's why Tucker Carlson, Candace, they're trying to rise up, because a lot of the youth, they're going to Nick Fuentes. I was listening to Nick Fuentes the other day. He talked straight politics. A lot of people don't even know what his show is. My wife was listening to. He's like, "Who's that? That's a smart young man." I was like, "Okay, I'll talk to you about him later." But that's where a lot of people are going.
I would definitely say that Fuentes, I do not trust him. And you and I obviously have discussed this on and off air. I think he has a lot of things right, but I also think there is a lot of, I don't even know if I would even say malicious. He's pretty transparent about his angles of bigotry. I think it's clear that he's a frustrated young man. And again, there's a reason why Fuentes is blown up. This is a very rudderless ship of a nation right now. There is a lot of scared people. There is a level of economic anxiety that has not been, I mean, you thought it was bad during the pandemic. You thought it was bad 15 years ago. This is unsightly how bad this is now, because people don't even have prospects. They don't even know why the hell they should go to college. They don't know what the hell they're going to do. And Fuentes, to his credit, knows exactly how to speak to that crowd. And especially with Kirk no longer with us, I mean, the lane is wide open and he's going to grab it. I think it's very fair to say that a lot of people are going to go to him. And the problem that we have with populist left politics is that there is a limit to how many voices are actually out there, which is why, as I mentioned before in the last panel, I mentioned to you guys now, Anthony, you may have heard about this, but shortly before Charlie's assassination, he made a compilation clip of about 5 or 6 different content creators. It was about Cenk, it was about Midas Touch, it was about a few different guys, and then the person he ended with was me. Now, I'm thinking to myself, this channel, it's got just over 70,000 subscribers. I mean, I know we're not tiny, but we're not that relevant. And the fact that he felt the need to put me there, I think is also a reflection, not that I'm trying to boost Jen and I's ego, it's a reflection of how few actual leaders there are in left populist spaces that are saying what needs to be said about how we're leading ourselves the fuck out of this problem. That, I think, is a huge part of it. And one of the things I've always been pointed to mention is that when it comes to, it's not just people that are in the military, it's working class across the country. There has been a dynamic shift since 2015, 2016. A substantial portion of that working class coalition that backed Bernie that first time he ran, they went to Trump. And they've basically been with him ever since. And there is a denial in this country that that's what happened. They want to pretend that this is all racism and sexism, and that's the reason why you don't have anything. And yet, when a white, Latino, and black man can come together and talk about this and say, it has nothing to fucking do with that shit, I hope that there are people that are listening. Because if you don't have a pot to piss in, no one gives a fuck about your feelings. Nobody. And they shouldn't. I want to be able to have a future. I want to be able to have a retirement. I want to have an environment that I actually can breathe the air of and drink the water in. Those are just simple things in life. And it seems like those are the things that are being taken for granted. And the fact that right now we are looking at a future where we're still attached at the hip with this genocidal fucking nation and we can't get out of it. I believe we will get out of it, but it's going to take this collaboration across the entire political spectrum, that there is one variable and one variable only. You are either bought and paid for by the system or you're not. And if you are in any way capitulating to that bought system, like these scum-sucking motherfuckers that are taking $7,000 a pop to put posts out there, like Savetsky, claiming that that fucking yacht that she was on was the one that Greta Thunberg was on. Again, if that's who you are, to me, you're a traitor of this country. Go fuck yourself, get lost. The rest of us can figure out a way to work together. All right, rant over.
You got me feeling fired up. I'm in Boston tonight. I got on the train early this morning at 3 a.m. and came into Boston. I'm here in the Boston Harbor. I just did a protest in down at the Boston Commons against the Boston Consulting Group. It was great. It was awesome. Cops came trying to shut us down but couldn't. It was awesome. So yeah, you just fired me up more. You know, this is not about our race, our ethnicities, our religion. That is what they want us to believe to divide us. It's not about that. It is those that are bought and paid off, and those of us that still have a soul for this nation and what it should be, not what it's become. And I think our Constitution, in the words of what our country stands for, is a beautiful thing, that we're created equal and that we should pursue happiness. And when you have people in office that, I mean, like Senator Cotton in there, like we will stop nothing. Well, no shit, you're not going to stop nothing. You've shown us that for the last however many years you've been in the Senate. We have a lot of weak leaders right now. What you said, Peter, is right. What the movements on both sides lack is leadership. And I'm, for one, very happy that you and Jen are part of the leadership and recognized by that the reason Charlie pulled you into that to know is that the voice might be small right now, but it's growing. But demonstrated leadership by integrity, and that you're not sold out, that you and Jen aren't sold out, is what America needs right now. Leadership.
I appreciate that, because you, to me, are like a huge hero. I can't, first of all, people that serve, even though I'm always anti-war and I'm pretty much anti-military, it's the people that serve, that put something higher than themselves, that I mass respect. And the fact that you do that and then you get treated how you're being treated for speaking out is even more infuriating. See, like when they come after me, I'm like, yeah, I haven't served. I haven't done anything. You know, I'm just sort of like a loud voice in the background. I get it. But people like you who've put your life on the line, and this is how you get treated and disrespected. That's infuriating to me. Just infuriating.
I hope it shows to the American people that the bounds of narcissistic power know no boundaries.
Yeah.
Yep. And you were the one on Tucker, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tucker,
that's all.
yeah.
So I do know. I didn't see that whole episode, but I saw the clips online. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Great to be on the same panel with you.
You should definitely go watch some of the
I will.
interviews that Anthony did, because even if you go back and watch when we first had him on here, where he really gets into what was going on over there in Gaza. Okay. Because there's, you can't believe what they're telling you. You can't believe a word that, if you know Israel's lying when their lips are moving, you can't believe a word that comes out of their mouth.
If I could interject, what do you think about the peace plan? And I think there's news about the troops going over there.
Well, I don't even
He's
think
not asking you.
It's okay. Throwing it out there for the panel, but I do want to hear what Tony has to say.
So I think that right now, more so than ever, we must all remain vigilant and aware and knowledgeable, because I speak with people in Gaza nightly, daily. I people there that I have come to love and respect and cherish like family members, because I've when you see a man who's carrying his dead child that starved to death, and you hold his hand and you cry together, seeing that a man has lost his child to starvation, you create bonds and friendships. And as this ceasefire was going down or being discussed, Israel was still dropping JDAMs, Joint Deployed Aerial Munition, GBU-52, guided bombs, the 2,000-pounders, on Gaza City, killing 40, killing 50, killing 60, pulling bodies out of rubble tonight. As this ceasefire went into effect, it only went into effect approved by the Knesset about an hour ago. So as this was going on, I hope that what the world will also see from this is that Israel is not a good actor. They have no intent to stop the genocide. Right now, I think they're willing to step back from the bombing because the implementation of the famine and the uncontrollable disease, polio, hepatitis A, dysentery, and enterovirus, has now taken root to the point it will kill off the rest. And they know that. So, when I hear Smotrich or Ben Gabir or Milikowski speak, it enrages me as an American to know that we stand with that. Anyone that says I stand for Israel, like when I was in Congress the other day, every representative or senator I saw with the "We Stand with Israel" sign, I took a picture of it. They will not run. They will not hide from their, that's not going to age well. So it enrages me. And the peace plan, what really concerns me more so about the ceasefire itself is the implementation of the pulling back of Israeli defense forces within Gaza. Gaza's not that big. Pull back. No, you should leave. You should get out. Like there shouldn't be a pulling back. It's like if someone's like, I'm not touching you, and your dad says stop it, and you're like, okay, I'm not touching you now. It's like, no, get out. Like out. Get out. The fact that the United States is not willing to demand that shows that we are still under their control. Yeah. And this ceasefire is going to go down as like the modern day Balfour Accords, like, because we're just rewriting history except worse.
Couldn't agree more. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on this evening. Obviously, as you know, we could do this again and probably should, and we'll end up speaking for 2 hours, but that's another conversation for another night. Osiris, it's always a pleasure. Anthony, again, words can't say enough. You're doing
Osiris,
more than-
it's great to meet you.
Yep.
Check out Index Red, guys. And Anthony, I know you're not on social media, but you are appearing everywhere. So I so appreciate you. And I'm so glad that we've been able to ever connect with you.
Yeah. Love you guys. Congrats on 5 years.
Thank you, guys.
And keep up the good fight.
Appreciate you, brother. See you guys. Yeah, it's a trying time. And of course, we've come a long way in the past 5 years. And two people I think it's only appropriate, Jen, that we conclude with this panel because
Yes.
the one thing that we have been trying to emphasize in a great way as often as we can is that so much of the voices that have grown substantially over the past 2 years, and especially since what happened with Charlie Kirk, is there has been another round of growth for people that are against, well, we assume that they're against what Israel is doing right now, but they have been successfully able to frame this as a Jewish problem, when in reality, this is a Zionist elitist problem. And our last two panelists are people who are Jewish and are firmly against this genocide and have been tremendously helpful in helping us, in particular, get that message out.
Which is not why we're having them. We did want to end with tribe, but these are both people that were also very good to us in the very beginning when I was running. Actually, Jordan was my very first ever interview as a candidate, and I had contemplated putting that clip up, but it's just it's cringy for me.
It's all good.
It's so cringy, and also I'm very thankful because Jordan is usually early bird, so he was willing to be here at this late hour. So we'll bring in Jordan. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Status Quo, you definitely ought to be.
I would imagine that they will all become subscribed soon enough. Welcome for the first time to Revolutionary Change.
Hey,
and
Jordan.
That flag behind you, I guess, and now it is actually...
Now it's upside down.
United Corporations of America is now appropriately being listed. But you're not alone.
No.
The other person that we're bringing in is somebody you know pretty well, and somebody that, of all the people that was on this mission well before October 7th with Jen, in what was a specific topic of discussion that was also a lengthy live stream, was called Deconstructing Zionism. And if anybody knows a thing or two about how to use their platform to push the anti-Zionist agenda instead of the anti-Jewish agenda, it is Katie Halper. Welcome for the first time to Revolutionary Change.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. So we definitely wanted to end tonight with you guys. And I know that this is late. I know everybody would want it to be earlier, but we are going to be making our special announcement in a little while. So I'm excited to have you guys here for it. But it has been exceptionally hard over the past couple of years being Jewish, and being on the right side of history. And I imagine even for you, Jordan, I mean, I know that you're married into an Israeli family, and that cannot be easy for you right now to be sort of like walking that line. So would you talk a little bit about that, like how that's been for you as a Jewish person? And I also know your dad is a Zio, and that you come from that, not my dad, but my family is definitely Zionist. But what's that like for you navigating this right now?
Honestly, dealing with my wife and her family is a breath of fresh air compared to my immediate family. My father might as well be Moses.
Oh my God.
He's one of those God gave us the land kind of dudes. And he was in a radical camp. You probably have covered them, and group known as Beitar growing up. So before October 7th, I just never really, I had fault with him too much about Israel. So it just became one of those things we just stopped talking about because what was the point? I'm not going to change his mind. But obviously, there was no ignoring it after October 7th. So we've had a few blow-ups. My mom also, she's less like religious. My dad's like religious. He goes to temple twice a week. My mom is more just like these, boomer liberal Jews who think, Israel could do no wrong. And, you take one of mine, I'm going to take two of yours kind of mentality. My dad and I had it out probably, 2 years ago, because he gave me some spiel about, this is our land. God gave it to us. And I said, paraphrasing, aren't you a little old for fairy tales? And it almost got violent. But listen, compared to what people are dealing with in Gaza, don't cry any tears for me. But yeah, it does create tension. They obviously support what I do and the stories I cover. Other than that, they do not like that we've probably covered more of the actually, we have definitely covered more of the pro-Palestine protests around the country than any other outlet. And I always get, well, why don't you cover any of the, bring the hostage back? I'm like, because it's like 3 old ladies out on a Saturday morning. That's why. And in terms of the scale of suffering, one's a lot worse. So, yeah, it's great attention, but, it is what it is. Even with family, I'm not the only one who's had friction and tension with their family.
Yeah. Katie, what about you? I mean, I don't think you were raised Zio or not by your parents.
I would say I was more non-Zionist than anti-Zionist, but now I'm obviously anti-Zionist, and my parents and I see eye to eye. Not my extended family, although I do have a relative who I tell this story a lot. He emailed me and he was like, I guess you were right. And then he wrote in parentheses, or hard left or extreme left on Israel. And the thing that woke him up on this, interestingly enough, was no other land, because I think the fact that these things were being done to Palestinians before October 7th kind of allows you to bypass the but Hamas, but October 7th propaganda that short circuits a lot of people's minds. So, but I mean, I totally agree with what Jordan said. Like, yeah, there's tension that Jews are navigating, but it's really, I mean, that is like so walk in the park compared to Palestinians in the diaspora who have their, humanity like diminished every day. And of course, Palestinians in Gaza or in the rest of, of Palestine. But sure, there is an interesting thing happening right now. I guess for me, the most interesting thing about the Jewish issue is that it's just ironic because I don't talk about this issue as a question of like self-preservation, but it is now a question of self-preservation. And I don't want to be hyperbolic, and I certainly don't want to pretend that there's an anti-Semitism crisis. And I want to be very clear that 90% of the time that people talk about anti-Semitism, they're just talking about anti-Zionism and pretending it's anti-Semitism, or not even anti-Zionism, criticism of Israel. But the irony is when Jews tell me, or Jews like you, I'm sure you get this, that we're self-loathing, that we're anti-Semitic, that we're creating anti-Semitism, we're contributing to anti-Semitism. It's like, no, the Jews who are speaking out are the only ones who are challenging anti-Semitism. Like, newsflash, I would like you to be on the right side of this issue because it's the moral thing to do, and it's pretty clear. But I'm not kind of above trying to appeal to people if they're not going to move in any other ways. Like, this isn't good for the Jews. Like, they're live streaming a genocide. They're saying it's in the name of Jews. If you care about Jewish safety, as you claim, you have to wake up and realize that Israel is not making you safe. It's putting you at risk. And the thing that you want to do if you want to battle anti-Semitism is speak out against Israel, not co-sign it. I mean, again, that's not the most important moral framework at all. It's not a particularly, actually, it's not a moral one at all. It's not immoral per se, but it's amoral, as in moral, one word. But I do think it's just ironic. And I think that people probably need to be woken up to that. And I don't know. But yeah, in terms of what people are going through, I do think that sometimes we lose sight of how hard it is for, Palestinians here, because again, every day, and obviously the genocide is happening there, right? But I do think that something that a lot of people are unaware of is what it must feel like to see the things that you see when you're a Palestinian American or Palestinian, whatever, French, anywhere, not living in Palestine, and just knowing that so many of the elites and the powerful, not the masses, but the people with power, are fine, laughing at you, joking about you, like we saw with Van Jones. Just like building your dehumanization into their analysis in such a casual way.
Well, the only thing I think that is positive, but wait, Peter, is that it is shifting. Because 3 years ago, nobody was we were talking about this, but most people were not talking about this. And I do think that Palestinians in the diaspora especially are seeing global support at a level that they've never felt before.
Yeah, it's definitely from the people, it is. Yes. And from the governments and the media, it's not, but yeah.
For such a cynical guy as he tends to come off, all of us have had the privilege of speaking with Norman Finkelstein, and he's got quite a sense of humor, I have to say, in spite of everything. He definitely knows how to put people in their place. Jordan, I think a good way to talk about what's going on in Chicago is I think so much of what we're seeing over in Gaza is an example of how we said that this is eventually going to come home. The incessant violence was eventually going to find its way to the States, because now what we're seeing is a country that is getting restless, and especially a significant portion of MAGA that is getting restless with the president. So naturally, it looks like we're heading into some form of a police state. We saw these cop cities that popped up over the last several years. Jen went to one of them in northern Georgia. And so now
I went to the one in Atlanta. What are you talking about?
Oh, that is northern Georgia. So
no, it's not. Go.
Yes, it is. Anyway, point being is that now we are seeing the weaponry shown on our own people, and it's only going to get worse. And if you could share a little bit about what you've seen and what we can expect to see more of going forward, that would be very helpful for many who may not even be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, my bad. I should have actually sent this clip to you for tonight, but I interviewed the other day a photographer who was just taking pictures outside of the Broadview Detention Center. That's the main one right outside of Chicago, where, it looks like Fallujah. They're tear gassing, stun grenades, pepper sprays, have snipers on the roof shooting at people. If you saw the other day, they shot a pastor in the head. And my cameraman was tear gassed pretty bad. My new reporter was tear gassed. So there was footage. This was kind of on a calm day, just a photographer taking photos of the ICE agents, the Border Patrol. And it was like Call of Duty style. They just opened fire on him, like 4 or 5 agents shooting pepper balls. And I think the media, people become numb. They just hear like rubber bullets and pepper balls and don't realize like you could get really fucking injured from these things. Actually, you could die from rubber bullets if you get shot in a certain way. When I was at Standing Rock, a guy got shot with a rubber bullet in his head. His scalp nearly came off. I bring this up because I interviewed the photographer who got shot up with the pepper bullets, and he's Palestinian, which I didn't know. And he told me that he was over in the West Bank, I believe, a little after October 7th. And what he saw from the IDF is exactly how ICE is acting here. And that connection really struck me, because these ICE, I don't know what you would call them other than thugs, that the cruelty is the point. They're even detaining children on the side of the road. I saw a video of that the other day. Elderly people, they're taking kids and zip tying them. This is what the IDF has done. Long before October 7th, frankly. But obviously people have seen it worse since. So I think you're seeing, and speaking of Cop City, that militarized police compound that got so little attention, and Jen was there and we covered it on the ground. They were going to be trained or partnering in training with the IDF. Mm-hmm. We know the NYPD has done training with a lot of police departments in America have done training with the IDF. And don't even get me started on Palantir and the surveillance state and the IDF. So I think what you're seeing here, I don't want people to get, I think people get a false sense sometimes that this brutality is new. It's a lot worse, to be clear. I don't want to give a false equivalence. What Trump is doing is a lot worse than we've seen. But there was this violence and kind of state thuggery before Trump. We saw it at Standing Rock. We've seen it at Black Lives Matter protests. Now it's just on a different level. But how he basically said, this is exactly what I see ICE doing is exactly what I saw the IDF doing. It should scare the living shit out of Americans.
Yeah. Well, Katie, you know this. Like, that Palestine's the laboratory, right? Like everything that goes on there comes here.
Yeah, the what is it? The chickens coming home to roost, the imperial boomerang theory. I think we're seeing a lot of that. And I actually really appreciate something you just said, Jordan, because I think that we see two tendencies often, which is that there's a lot of, I hate to be a nuanced cuck, but sometimes people make it seem like Trump is a total departure and aberration, and we've never had anything like this. And then I would say like most people say that, right? And then we have some people who are, I agree with in many ways, who are my fellow leftists, who say that Trump is really not unique at all. He's just more of the same, and there's stylistic changes. But there is not just a qualitative, but a quantitative difference in many cases. Although it's interesting because with the immigration issue, it actually is more qualitative than quantitative. Because if you look at the numbers of deportations, it's not actually as high as Trump would like you. And again, it's too high. But in terms of how much more he's doing it than Biden, the numbers don't really bear that out. But what they do bear out is the spectacle of cruelty, which we're seeing, which is, I mean, I'm not dismissing the importance of that. It is traumatic. Has a real chilling effect. It makes people feel afraid. And it's torture and violence for the people experiencing it. I am hoping that people will realize that, this is not the reason that you don't have health care or you can't afford eggs is not because of people who are undocumented. I'm hoping that people can make that point. And it would be great if Democrats made that point more effectively instead of kind of just being like Republican light when it comes to immigration, because they're never going to satisfy the people who vote on the border alone. And all they're doing is kind of helping create more of this dystopian, sadistic environment. And they won't do well in it either. I mean, if they care about, we all know they don't usually care about morals, but they do kind of care about polls.
Well, what they really care about is how they look in front of the camera. Is kind of like Hakeem Jeffries with Mike Lawler the other day, because you look tough, because that's what matters.
Right.
We've gone at great length to talk about how elections do matter. I'm not going to say that they don't. We are still reeling in so many respects from, again, we all got together because of 2015 and 2016 with Bernie. It was the sort of odyssey of an experience. And anyone who says that the biggest reason why the working class shifted to Trump, it's because people that supported Bernie were not going to support a party that literally rigged a presidential primary against them that was based on a working class populist left uprising. And they were, I don't even know if they were necessarily hoodwinked into supporting Trump. I just think the level of desperation is unbelievable at this point. And so we actually do have a big announcement. And Jen, I think it would be appropriate if you shared it, because we have been trying to figure out how we can make an impact. What could we do to sort of shift where things need to go? Because the answer is not the Democratic Party. Yeah. And if anybody saw the blow up by Katie Porter the other day, it is a prime example of how, if you think you're getting any change through that party, you're nuts. So let's not be nutty. Let's not waste time. Let's figure out how to be effective. Jen, please, if you will.
Right. So we all know that our entire electoral process has been completely bought out. I mean, it's just bought out. And people that are grassroots can not compete in any real meaningful way against, and it's not just AIPAC, it's not just the Israel lobby, although that's right now what we're seemingly squaring off against, but it's all of it. And so I, for a long time, have been thinking, well, we just need to play their game. And so we are officially playing their game. So we are now announcing there is a Revolutionary Change PAC. We are a super PAC. I have a couple of ads to show, but we are up and running. And our mission is to fight against corporate interests and foreign interests that have completely taken over. So we can take unlimited money. We can have dark money. We can play just as dirty as they can. And so we have a two-prong approach. One, we are going to be spending our money going after all the filthy incumbents and corporate candidates and AIPAC-bought candidates that are running. And two, we are supporting our own slate of candidates that we have, that we've picked. And actually, they don't even know because we're a super PAC, so we can't even talk to them. But we are nonpartisan. We will support people that are speaking for working people and fighting against the corporate interests. And so I want to I don't know which one of these is which. There's two ads that we have that I was just going to play. And
so if
which one? I don't know which one. At 16 years old in Israel on a high school trip, holding an assault rifle. And this is the definition of indoctrination. As I grew older, I witnessed the rise of the Israeli lobby, exerting its influence on our politics and policies. I learned about the injustices happening thousands of miles away in the name of Jewish people. And I can't stay silent in the face of such injustice. I do not feel powerless. I feel hopeful. It is time for us to use our voices, to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, to demand accountability from our leaders. I pledge to fight for justice and equity for everyone, here at home and abroad, for there can be no peace without true justice.
Hi, I'm Jen Perelman with the Revolutionary Change PAC. We are done with AIPAC-funded candidates that put foreign interests ahead of the interests of working Americans. You can help us beat AIPAC at their own game. Please donate to Revolutionary Change now and help us fight fire with fire.
So that's one of the ads that's been circulating, and I don't know if either of you have seen them. They've been sort of circulating over the past couple of weeks, but we weren't going to officially announce it until today. And just as a point of reference, I mean, Peter, do you want to say who our first three candidates are that we're supporting?
Yeah. We have a second ad that we will play, but in terms of the candidates that we are planning on supporting in the upcoming elections in 2026. The first candidate is going to be Butch Ware, who is running for governor of California on the Green Party ticket. We obviously think very highly of him. He's been on the podcast. Obviously, now we cannot communicate with him further, but the efforts will be made to make sure that he has a fighting chance. And with the latest blow up by Katie Porter, we think there is definitely an opening here where he can cause some headway, and that would obviously be a good thing. The second candidate is Shama Sawant, who is running for Congress in Washington's, I believe it's the 9th district, if I remember off the top of my head. She is running against Adam Smith, Mr. Corporate whore himself, who's been in office probably longer than some of you people in the chat have been alive. I think he's been there for about 30 years. And then the last candidate we are going to be supporting as of right now is going to be Senate candidate Graham Plattner in Maine. And the reason we're supporting him, even though he's running in the Democratic Party, is that he is a very solid candidate, and he is running in a primary against a Democratic Party picked AIPAC candidate who also happens to be somebody who made a shitload of money grifting through these fundraising DC groups that basically was, you've heard about them. They're basically all Red Cross wannabes where they raise the money and only about 5% of it actually gets spent on the candidates. The other 95% gets spent on the operation. So those are the three candidates that as of now we will be supporting. I think that we have to try to make an impact outside of the two-party system. I think this is one way to do it. And we have one more ad to play.
You have it?
According to AIPAC, it donated money to 365 candidates from both parties, including every single member of both Democratic and Republican leadership in Congress.
For the past 2 years, we've been watching a live stream genocide in Palestine. People in this country are waking up to realize that our leadership has been compromised by the Zionist agenda. You can help us take back this country for ourselves and a free Palestine. Donate to Revolutionary Change now.
And just so people know, the only two people in charge of the money for this PAC are me and Peter. That's it. It's just us. There's nobody else that gets to decide where money is spent. No WCCC white collar campaign carnies coming in and taking a payroll out of the PAC. This is totally about fighting against those forces, fighting against AIPAC, and standing up for candidates that are on the right side of history.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about where your money's going with us. That much we can assure you.
Exactly.
You mean Cenk Uygur won't be involved?
No, there's no wolf pack here. This is just
it's just us. It's just us, and we are in charge of it, and nobody else gets to say where money goes or where it's spent or anything like that. And we are very committed to allocating the money where it needs to go. So
I think I think it's. I didn't know about this. I'm learning it with the audience, but I think now is as good a time as ever. I don't know if you saw polls that have come out. I mean, just in 3 years, I think it was plus 48 or something like that, pro-Israel in this country. And now it's moved to, I think I saw positive 1 or 2. I mean, that's a gigantic shift. I as you guys, I'm sure, have covered, I mean, 40, 50% of the protesters on the streets are Jewish. And I think even like the old boomer liberal, wine moms, I mean, some of them will always be what they are, but even some of them, have said, right, have seen enough. So I think now is a great time to try and, go on the attack. I'm sure AIPAC, if you get any traction, will hit you back tenfold. But I think you guys could take it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to need to come on your show at some point and talk about what happened to us the other day. So
yeah.
Yes.
We've just, Katie, I don't know if Jen texted you this. I know I haven't mentioned it yet, but we had the police come and visit us the other day because we decided to go after Central Synagogue on 55th in Lexington, because apparently the rabbi was toying with very coded language about human sacrifice in the name of Israel. And because the segment blew up, it's gotten over, I think it's probably somewhere close to like 250,000 views at this point. They decided to call the cops on us. And the only reason I found out about it is because the cops that came to see me was at 11:30 at night. It was the sheriff's office that did it. And I spoke to them.
What city are you in?
I'm by Destin. I'm in the Florida Panhandle.
He's in Niceville.
Oh, you're talking about a synagogue in Florida. Okay, I thought, yeah.
No, the synagogue is in New York.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
So
but
basically, some wealthy people,
wow.
at this synagogue called their pals at the Florida sheriff.
Well, they came, the plantation police showed up at my house, and then and I didn't talk to them because I know better. Then a few hours later, the sheriff up in wherever Peter lives showed up at his house, and they asked if we had a hit list. And because we do, we have a hit list, but the hit is a bong hit. So in fact, this is it. Okay. So which to me is pretty clear that what that is. But so they wanted to make sure that we weren't planning a trip to New York to hurt people.
Wow. And so the two cops who I ended up having a fairly cordial conversation with, by the time it was over, he basically said, fuck it. These are the people that called the cops on you. I was like, oh, really? Wow. So you're telling me that the people at the synagogue didn't like our video and they felt that the way to get to us is to intimidate us?
Yep.
Okay, well, this is why we have to do this.
So this is one more reason why, it just makes us more resolved. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't scare us. It doesn't intimidate us, and it's not going to stop us. And so I was just wanting you guys to be here to let you know about this PAC, that this is what we're doing. We are nonpartisan. So one of our candidates is a Democrat, one is a Green, and one is an independent. But we are open to supporting people that are on the right side of history. So that's where we are. And Colin, do you have the code? I think, yeah. So guys, this is it? Yeah, right there. This is the code for anybody to go check out Revolutionary Change PAC. We are up and running. We do take Act Blue, which, yes, I know is a scam, but we also take Antidote, I think is the name that is going to be added. So for people that are averse to Act Blue, and we also, if you go to our website, we also can take checks, and we have no limitations on what we can take. So we are a super PAC. That's where we are.
But not corrupt. We swear.
Yeah, no.
It's actually a good bumper sticker. We're a super PAC, but not corrupt.
But not corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of beating them where they are. This is how they want to. I'd rather have publicly financed elections and not have any money at all. That would be my pick. This is how they want to do it. And apparently that's the only way that this can work. So this is something that I started thinking about a few years ago. We did get a PAC up and running, but then it got taken over. I don't even want to talk about that. That went in a whole wrong direction and ended up screwing our campaign and a whole different thing. But this is us. It's 100% us. And so we're very pleased about this.
I want to take an opportunity to thank both of you for the work that you do. On the domestic side, you have been, Jordan, doing the type of journalism that we so desperately wish more people in this country would do. As a personal friend, I know the trials and tribulations that you go through to run this operation. It is a lot of sleepless nights, And being the father of 2 young children, I can only imagine it's very trying, but we cannot thank you enough and for bringing attention to what is going on, not just in Chicago, but everywhere. It is essential, if you guys are not supporting Status Quo News, that you do. Katie, for somebody with the platform that you have and the fact that you have been as outspoken for years, as long as I've known you, about the separation of Judaism from Zionism and how you've used that platform over the last 2 years in particular to highlight some of the most amazing voices, including ones that we have had the privilege of having as a result of your connection with them, is also something that we cannot thank you enough for, as well as the deconstructing Zionism that we did way back when, along with the Assange-a-thon. So the fact that you are, I will borrow a popular Yiddish word. It's my favorite Yiddish word. It's you are 2 mensches that are doing right by humanity and the sea of darkness right now that we're living through. Thank you for being bright lights, because we don't have many. And hopefully we can continue to cross-collaborate together and build our network as best we can, because as we know, elections do matter, but they're not the way we're getting out of this. We all know that now. It's going to be a populist uprising, period.
I just want to say one thing, since everyone's plugging stuff. I am working on a documentary about Holocaust survivors who are speaking out against the genocide in Gaza. So stay tuned for that. And they're really inspiring people.
Do you have an ETA?
Let's see, what is the ETA? Within a year, definitely.
Excellent. And you'll come back and talk about it, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you guys for staying up late with us, especially Jordan. I know you've got the littles.
Well, wait, hold on. What about me? Hold on.
Okay, all right. Let's see the furry little.
That counts.
It counts. It counts. But the furry little.
You're not human. That's not.
Oh my God, that dog is so freaking cute.
This is Bucky. I don't know. I don't think.
Nice.
Is Bucky named for Bucky's, which is now my favorite place?
No, he's named for Bucky Pizzarelli because I want to name him after a grandfather. But both of my grandfather's names were Al, and it is kind of adorable. He kind of would be a really cute Al, but I liked having a vowel at the end of his name, and so my grandparents really loved Bucky Pizzarelli.
Oh my God, the underbite on him.
Come on, let me show you off.
Oh, what kind of dog is this?
He's
squirmy.
I know he's not usually that squirmy. I'm gonna get him. Child services are gonna come in.
Is he a Havanese?
No, he is he's half Shih Tzu, half we think half Shih Tzu, half Brussels Griffin. So we're gonna get but we got a DNA test. So we'll in fact I should announce it on. I'm gonna have a big Katie Halper show announcement. Yeah.
Okay. No, he's adorable. How old is he?
Between 5 and 8. He's a rescue, and look at his bow tie.
No, he's adorable.
Yes,
he's absolutely adorable. He looks like trouble, though. He looks a little mischievous.
He's really.
I'll bring my dog from Russia on the next stream.
Oh, nice.
Your dog from? You have a Russian? What kind of dog do you have?
Yeah, at the beginning of COVID, adoption here was shut down, so we got a dog from Russia. They shuttled 30 of them over. Might have a chip in her. I don't know.
They're coming for you.
What kind?
They're coming for you.
What kind?
I don't know. They
big, small.
No, 30 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's 14 pounds.
Yeah, that's where mine are.
I'm getting him a Sophia handkerchief.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on the way. Yeah.
Well, I've always said that the biggest knock on Trump to display just how much I don't like him.
Yeah.
Trump is the first president in our nation's history that didn't have a dog.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
That's a very bad sign.
It is a bad sign.
Yeah,
that's a bad sign. When you have a staff that could take care, I don't understand. Because the only downside of a dog is really the work. But if you have a staff,
the only reason we don't have a dog is because it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. The center of attention must be me at all times. That's the way it goes. Let me tell you, there has to be so much shit on him in those files for him to go to this length now to not release it. I can't even imagine what this guy's into. Maybe the P tapes were real. I mean, at this point, what the hell else could you think?
Yeah, who knows?
Thank you guys so much for being here and on our 5th-versary. I really appreciate you both very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
So that was a great conversation. That was a great evening, but we can't leave just yet. And you guys see the QR code if you would be so inclined to chip in. But we have had quite an evening of Super Chats. We've got a lot to get to before we get out of here. So April 55, thank you so much for the $9.99. Congrats, XOXO. Appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you, April.
Hollaback, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. We really appreciate
Hollaback,
it.
girl.
But Hollaback didn't want to stop there. Hollaback with a 1999
Wow.
super sticker.
And again with the snout. Love the
It's
snout.
all about the poochie poos.
It's all
know
about the pooch. Yeah.
Everybody knows that's our show is about the dogs. It's got to be. Lynn Ann, thank you so much for the $10 and for having an awesome profile picture. That's, I mean, like I said, it is about the dogs.
It is about the dogs.
Piano Man with the $10. Thank you very, very much for being an amazing supporter and for super chatting again this evening. Chris Garrett, originally from Status Quo over to Revolutionary Change. 21 months. Happy 5-year anniversary. Nice to see this growth. We appreciate you being here, my friend. Chris Back, becoming a YouTube member. Thank you very, very much. Piano Man again with the $10 super sticker. We appreciate you. And of course, not to be outdone, Teresa, thank you so much for gifting 5 Revolutionary Change memberships.
Teresa's one of our OGs.
She is.
And Chris, like a lot of these people, like we could definitely have people that have been around for the duration.
Yeah, no, we're doing good here. That is for sure. JG with the $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When all else fails, they take you to war. Want to go to war? We take you to war. Gerald Calente. JG also gifting 5 Revolutionary Change memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cannonball. Thank you very much for the 1999. You do look familiar. I have a feeling we know who this gentleman is.
Really?
It almost looks like, I think it might be Guy Giverson. At least it looks like him. I could be wrong. But if you are, thank you very much. And if you're not, thank you anyway. You can always tell a person's quality by their friends, which makes you guys super top shelf humans. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much for your amazing support.
We do have good friends. We do have good friends. And honestly, I do take that as a compliment. That is a testament to our integrity and what we've been doing here for 5 years. That even when we had low numbers, we didn't have a huge audience, and we would still get guests like we had. And that's why. So, I mean, yeah, I am proud of that.
Mark J with the $3. Thank you for your courage and perseverance. Hey, thank you for always chipping in on pretty much every live stream. We really appreciate you. Alex Got Mittens, thank you for the $5. Watch Tommy G's new video with Lieutenant Colonel Aguilar. Bless you all. Appreciate you, brother. Really do. JG again with the $2. Posse Comitatus?
Posse Comitatus?
Posse Comitatus.
Posse Comitatus. It sounds Greek or Latin?
Maybe something like that. Talk about one of our OGs. Chip with the $10. Another
Thank you, Chip.
Congrats on the 5 years. Appreciate you being here. Tony D, thank you for the $2. Tell Katie I discovered this show because of her.
Oh, I would have, but I didn't, we can't, I hate interrupting for super, like we have to, it's hard to do super.
That's why I said at the beginning, we need to get some through, but I had no idea it would be blowing up like this. So we obviously are very appreciative. JG with the $10. Sunny FX question. Is the vote in the General Assembly still going to take place to deploy a UN peace force to Gaza via 2/3 majority ruling in the General Assembly?
One could hope. I mean, at this point, there are means for the General Assembly to override our veto. I mean, we know that is possible. Now, whether or not all the things fall into place for that to happen, I don't know. But I have heard, at least I heard the president of Indonesia at one point standing up and saying, we have troops ready to go when the UN is ready to act. So, and I don't think they're alone.
I don't think they're alone. So it's a matter of how many countries are going to have that courage.
Correct. Tony D with the $5. Your birthday show same day as John and Sean Lennon's birthday.
Oh,
Paul McCartney's third wedding. Thomas UK TV debut in 1984. Love multi-hour streams. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Tony D, being the music channel person that you are, because that is some seriously good Beatles trivia for me.
And one of the Beatles' best albums is featured in your profile picture. And of course,
well, that's my favorite. I'm an Abbey Road girl.
Well, my favorite song is probably Come Together. So I can definitely appreciate the greatness that is Abbey Road and their second to last album. So yes, they did go out with a bang for sure.
Did you know that actually that was the last album they recorded was Abbey Road?
Yes.
But it wasn't released.
The last one released. That's correct.
The last one released was Let It Be. But Abbey Road was actually recorded last.
Words of wisdom, let it be. And not to be outdone, as if she doesn't do enough for us, the biggest super chat of the evening, Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you all do. I will always do everything I can to help support all you do. And we will always show our gratitude for you being one of our best. Thank you very, very much. JG1982 does not want to be outdone. He's probably competing with you, Teresa, gifting another 5 Revolutionary Change memberships. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, one of our absolute favorites, Ozma and Sari. Finally, let's see if this works. It did work at $9.99.
It did.
Happy 5, you guys. Here's to
Thank
many
you,
more.
Ozma.
We love you as well. Absolutely. Flowers from the UK. Thank you for the £5. Thank you for staying up late with us. This is very late.
Yeah, let me tell you something. You UK and Irish people over there, you guys are like night owls. I'm always fascinated with the amount of people on our live.
You know what? Do you necessarily blame them, especially at certain times of the year where it's just dreary outside 24/7?
Okay, first of all, it's beautiful there. Second of all, it stays light really late, depending on where you are. Like when I was in Scotland, it didn't get dark until like 10.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. JG with the $4 super sticker. Interesting number choice. And then Aaliyah follows up with a $3.99 Canadian A super sticker. Thank you very, very much. Arm with Harmony. Donnie had a pup. It's self-deployed. That is not funny. That's totally not funny.
I think it's pretty funny.
Thank you for the $2, Armwith. Really appreciate it. Ronwell again with the $5. While I was inspired by Ron Paul, I'm loyal to Jesse the Body Ventura and Cynthia McKinney. But since he isn't doing it anymore, I have Thomas Massey because of it. Thomas Massey is the best federally elected representative we have right now, Mike.
Yes.
MTG Paradise with the $10. Happy 5 years. Thank
you
very much. And again, for the last time, because he just doesn't want to stop.
He just wants to keep us going.
Wants to make sure we can't. You know, one of the great things I used to have in my movies, you know what it was? Don't give up your day job. So he wants to make sure that we could give up our day job because he's giving us so many super chats and so many new members.
Oh, Anthony. Anthony.
Ride or die, but only until 9 p.m.
You are so quickly becoming one of my most favorite people, and has nothing to do with donating.
Well, you have to understand, he is chipping in to your travel account to make sure that you get to DC sometime in the near future.
And Anthony is also one of our patrons, but it's like, there is something that makes me so proud when people who I think so highly of like me back. Like it's
really
very satisfying. They really like me. No, I mean, people that are real heroes. Like like I never knew a Green Beret before. God, she's definitely decomposing by the minute.
I would agree. Tamils for Peace. Thank you for the $1.99 super sticker.
Tamils for Peace. So I did a DNA ancestry test a couple years ago on my mom's side, and 4 generations back is Tamil Indian, which is so strange to me because I really thought like it was going to come back 100% Ashkenazi, boring as fuck. And then there was Tamil Indian and also Han Chinese, which does explain my child number 1 does kind of look Asian.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would definitely say that we're all mixed with a lot of different. A lot of us are mutts. I mean, German Irish on my father's side, Russian Polish on my mother's side, but I am very appreciative of my Irish roots and what the culture represents.
I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on my Irish conversion. I'm working on my Irish conversion.
Last thing I'll say this evening is we do have a live that I will be doing as a pontification on Saturday. We are going to be doing a deep dive on Charlie Kirk in particular, about a person that I have been wanting to do a deep dive on ever since this happened, and that is the guy by the name of Andrew Colvett. Very interesting stuff, considering...
He is the LBJ in this Charlie Kirk scenario, which is very interesting, shall we?
Candace Owens has receipts. And there was a conversation between Nick Fuentes and Dave Smith that I have not yet checked out, but there may also be a undressing, if you will, of a popular streamer that I have hesitated even addressing because we've collaborated with him before. We do not really communicate any further. We could certainly understand why, because he's been a little too friendly about Israel. And now we may have to do a takedown.
This is also a compliment to me. We're all Palestinian.
We are.
We're all Palestinian. Those are the original people. They're I don't know how people don't understand this. We all come from some woman in Ethiopia, and then we migrated away from that area, farther away from the equator, and a ton of people ended up in the cradle of civilization, and those are the Palestinians. And yes, we are all from there.
Which is why we have to fight the good fight, no matter what. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. 5 years, here's to another 5 more. We love you all. We'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, guys, for coming. Free Palestine.
Good night, guys.